Chapter 38. All were killed. Huang Lianyue is learning new moves. Inside a secret realm on the island. This was an immortal cave Huang Lingtian accidentally discovered when he was young and came here for training. It was an excellent blessed land. Moreover, there was a sitting skeleton of a void-breaking realm senior at that time. Huang Lingtian was only in the divine ability realm back then. Facing such a senior's legacy and treasure, he was naturally ecstatic. At that time, there were also several fellow Taoists and senior brothers with him. However, in the end, only he walked out alive. And this place became one of Huang Lingtian's secret hiding spots, like a cunning rabbit with 3 burrows. Huang Lingtian, who was meditating and adjusting his qi, suddenly opened his eyes. A trace of savagery and fear flashed across his face. Just now, the restriction he had set up was triggered. Someone came in. Damn it. Are they still unwilling to let me go? They actually caught up so quickly. Who could it be? If it's those few juniors, it's fine, at most a bit tricky. If it's old Devil Lin, the thought of this possibility filled Huang Lingtian with fear. He still couldn't understand how the other party survived under such a heavenly tribulation. A powerful aura directly rushed in his direction. Before he could prepare, Lin Yun's figure suddenly appeared before him. Yo, long time no see, old thing, derogatory term for Huang Lingtian. You're quite good at hiding. Lin Yun's somewhat playful voice rang out. Huang Lingtian's body trembled, and the magic power in his body became chaotic. The worst-case scenario had happened. How did he find him so quickly? He clearly hadn't left any suspicious traces along the way. But that was no longer important. The key was how to survive next. In truth, despair had already taken root in his heart. But how would he know if he didn't try his luck? What I need to do for you to spare me? Huang Lingtian didn't waste words. Lin Yun looked at Huang Lingtian with a hint of mockery. Weren't you very arrogant back then? What about now? You're like a dead dog. Beg me, and I'll let you go. Lin Yun crossed his arms, looking at Huang Lingtian at his leisure. He wasn't worried about him retaliating at all. The cultivation and strength of the two were as different as heaven and earth. Huang Lingtian took a deep breath, clenching his fists tightly, his eyes seemingly spitting fire. A scholar can be killed, but not humiliated. As a fellow Taoist, why would you go to such lengths? Ha ha ha! Lin Yun burst into laughter. You who shamelessly cling to life, are you even worthy of being my fellow Taoist? Do the countless innocent souls of your Huang family agree? Enough with the nonsense. Give me a reason not to kill you. Lin Yun's aura had invisibly locked on a Huang Lingtian, but he wasn't in a hurry to act. He wanted to squeeze out his last bit of value. Huang Lingtian's eyes flickered. I know you want to deal with Huang Lianyu, but I haven't succeeded all these years. What makes you think you can succeed? I naturally have my ways. No need for a dead man like you to worry. Lin Yun remained unmoved. Old thing, derogatory term for Huang Lingtian. I'll give you 3 more breaths. If you can't give me a satisfactory reason, then die. 1. Lin Yun counted with 1 finger. Huang Lingtian struggled violently internally. He knew that the other party was intimidating him, and he would most likely still die. But he had shamelessly clung to life for so many years, even killing countless bloodline descendants for it. How could he be willing to die like this? 2. I have a way to deal with Huang Lianyu. Seeing Lin Yun's aura growing stronger and stronger. Powerful magic power fluctuations had already enveloped the entire blessed land. Huang Lingtian finally broke down. Oh, tell me. Lin Yun showed an interested expression. The other party and Huang Lianyu had been scheming against each other for so many years, so they would naturally have some information. Although it wouldn't be a decisive blow, it could increase his bargaining chips. Lord Demon Venerable, if I tell you, will you let me leave? I promise never to return to the mainland from now on. Huang Lingtian looked at Lin Yun, this junior, with a somewhat humble and fawning expression. Lin Yun felt a surge of satisfaction in his heart. That depends on what your information is worth. For an old dog like you, sparing your dog life is no big deal. Lin Yun said indifferently. Huang Lingtian hesitated repeatedly, but finally broke down. He told Lin Yun all the information he had. Huang Lianyu's arrangements. Some hidden legacies within the Divine Phoenix dynasty. The story of the immortal Phoenix legend. Lin Yun also got all the information he wanted. There was indeed an ancient teleportation array within the tomb, but it seemed to have a problem and couldn't be used. Huang Lingtian had already studied it. Otherwise, he would have escaped through there long ago. This made Lin Yun a little disappointed, but he was unwilling to leave without checking the situation. This was the simplest method for him at the moment. All right, you could die now. Old Devil Lin, you're going back on your word. You'll die a terrible death. Huang Lingtian retreated in terror, cursing hoarsely. Lin Yun's eyes were cold. If curses worked, he would have died 100 times over. He directly used the ultimate move he had just learned. It was a good opportunity to test the power of the Nine Heavens Thunder Arts. Within Huang Lingtian's pupils, a huge 100-jong thunder light suddenly appeared out of thin air. He finally died with his eyes closed. So he possessed a great divine ability of the Thunder Dao. No wonder. Lin Yun looked at Huang Lingtian, who had turned into dust, leaving no ashes behind. There was no ripple in his eyes. Given the other party's current state, if he still had to go to great lengths to deal with him, wouldn't his ascension to the void-breaking realm have been in vain? However, the power of this thunder art was indeed impressive. Extremely firm and masculine, incomparably fierce. With a wave of his hand, he collected the several storage rings on the ground. Given the other party's identity, there must be many good things inside. He would look at them later. Lin Yun sat cross-legged in place, waiting for those several immortal sect leaders to come and walk into his trap. Outside, Xian Tiangang, Lei Zhenxiao, Jian Wuji, Master Yunjue, and old Taoist Wuchen gathered together. Are you sure he's inside? My heaven-stabilizing compass cannot be wrong, old Taoist Wuchen said, looking at the ancient compass in his hand. Good. I'll use the boundary-breaking shuttle to break the restriction. Xian Tiangang took out a shuttle-shaped magic treasure. Under the activation of his magic power, the restriction hiding the entrance was broken in a few breaths. Lei Zhenxiao looked at the shuttle-shaped magic treasure with some envy. This thing was essential for robbing homes. Let's go. The group of 5, full of confidence and anticipation for the treasure trove and Huang Lingtian's collection, entered the blessed land. This seems to be an immortal cave. That old thing, derogatory term for Huang Lingtian. Huang Lingtian is really good at hiding. The several people were carefree, not worried about startling Huang Lingtian at all. With the 5 of them together now, even an Ascension Realm pursuer could be shaken off. Not to mention Huang Lingtian, who had cut his own cultivation. He was now even weaker than the void-breaking realm. You've arrived. Then, the smiles on their faces froze. Old Devil Lin, why are you here? Xian Tiangang and Lei Zhenxiao broke out in cold sweat, their faces instantly turning pale. Jian Wuji and old Taoist Wuchen, seeing that the situation was bad, immediately started to flee. Why shouldn't I be here? I've been waiting for you for a long time. This venerable will send you down to accompany that old geezer. Lin Yun looked at the fleeing figures, a brilliant smile on his lips. He had been here for so long. How could he not have made any arrangements? With a thought, a huge thunder array appeared out of thin air. Oh no, it's a thunder array. Such powerful, 9 heavens divine thunder. Lord Demon Venerable, please spare us. I am willing to offer all my treasures. Except for Jian Wuji, the sword cultivator, the others panicked, frantically begging for mercy from the terrifying prison. But how could Lin Yun leave any hidden dangers? What if they bullied his master and junior sister in the future? So they were doomed. Numerous 9 heavens divine thunders appeared out of thin air. Within the thunder array, countless tiny lightning bolts formed a thunder Dao domain. In an instant, a sea of thunder was formed. The several people exhausted all their means. Various magic treasures emerged endlessly, but they were all in vain. In a flash, they were all reduced to ashes. Lin Yun watched all this with cold eyes. The reason he set up the thunder array was to prevent them from escaping again. He really wouldn't have been able to chase them easily. However, the power of this thunder array was even greater than he had imagined. It also consumed a significant amount of spirit stones. This one activation burned through 3 million top-grade spirit stones for him. But thinking that it dealt with 5 immortal sect leaders of the void-breaking realm, it didn't seem expensive. Lin Yun collected the dozen or so space rings scattered on the ground and the undamaged magic treasures. A large seal, a compass, a demon-subduing sword, a purple gold alms bowl, and so on. These were all good things that even lightning couldn't destroy, and Lin Yun wouldn't waste them. After dealing with these major hidden dangers, Lin Yun also breathed a sigh of relief. He sensed that his palace seemed to be not far from the Divine Phoenix dynasty. Lin Yun immediately no longer hesitated. His figure flashed and disappeared. He was going to take down that woman, Huang Lianyu. If he didn't deal with her 100 times over, he wouldn't be Lin. Meanwhile, in the Imperial Palace, Huang Lianyu knew the moment Huang Lingtian died. She was somewhat shocked and surprised. Had her former brother Yin grown to such an extent? She had originally thought that both sides would suffer, and then she would reap the benefits. This current situation was something she hadn't anticipated. However, the great mountain that had been pressing down on her was finally gone. A look of relief appeared on Huang Lianyu's exquisite face. Ultimately, she had been one step behind. His demon sect army must be arriving soon. How would he treat her? She had once failed him and betrayed him. He must hate her very much. However, he wanted her even more to humiliate her. A look of determination appeared on Huang Lianyu's dignified and beautiful face. She absolutely could not let him take away her immortal phoenix power. That was her hope for immortal ascension, as long as she preserved her virginity. Besides that, she could agree to any other demands, even the most shameful and humble fawning. In her hand, she held a book. It was actually an erotic book in color. She wanted to learn, in order to please old Devil Lin, her ex-boyfriend, to use various wonderful methods to satisfy him. For immortal ascension, Huang Lianyu was willing to pay any price, including her dignity. Chapter 39. The demonic army approaches, the divine phoenix weeps. Within the Nine Heavens Thunder Division Orthodox law, there's a type of escape technique. General escape techniques are further divided into 5 elements: metal, wood, water, fire, and earth. For example, water escape and earth escape. But how could they compare to the speed of lightning? Lin Yun's speed was extremely fast. He felt that even if he used the heavenly demon disintegration blood escape great law, he wouldn't be much faster. When Lin Yun caught up to the floating island palace again, it was not far from the Divine Phoenix Dynasty's ancestral palace. However, the main force of the Yin-Yang Sacred Sect disciples had been left behind, with continuous lines of disciples stretching like a long dragon. Various sword lights and magical power intertwined. Wherever they passed, the cultivator, noble family/clan they encountered all closed their doors, fearing to disturb this army of millions. Just like when the 9 great immortal sects jointly besieged the demonic sect, Lin Yun did not hide his tracks this time either. He played it fair and square, using his aura to suppress others. What about the demonic sect? Our demonic sect didn't indiscriminately kill the innocent. At this moment, all the holy sect disciples had excited expressions. Some, whose senior brother or senior sister had died in previous battles, had bloodthirsty red glints in their eyes. Returning to the palace, Lin Yun paused when he passed the courtyard where Empress Ancestor Jixiao was staying. He secretly released his divine sense to take a look. Lin Yun's heart gradually sank to the bottom. Empress Ancestor Jixiao was still like a statue, covered with the blanket he had given her. He had been out for 2 or 3 hours, yet she hadn't moved at all. This clearly indicated that her emotions had collapsed, and her mind had lost control. She was like a taut string, ready to snap at any moment, leading to a world-shattering collapse. Lin Yun felt a bit annoyed. Why did he have to provoke her for no reason? Indeed, the ancients did not deceive him. Lust is a double-edged sword. Originally, he could have enjoyed himself for a while longer, and, in the best-case scenario, he might even cultivate to the Ascension Realm peak here. Then he could seek out other worlds to undergo tribulation and ascend. Lin Yun wanted to say hello, but he felt that he was probably the last person she wanted to see right now. If he appeared before her and provoked her again, causing her to explode with a bang, wouldn't he die a wrongful death? Lin Yun was now slowly experiencing the benefits of thousandfold talent. His current foundation and roots were clearly those of a future Emperor Supreme, so he couldn't die so inexplicably. He dared not gamble that the damned system would make him rebirth again. After thinking for a moment, Lin Yun waved to the several maids in front. Naturally, the girls recruited into his palace were all exceptionally beautiful, and their cultivation aptitude was also quite good. Sect Master Supreme. The several women in palace dresses, seeing Lin Yun wave, quickly jogged over. If the sect master had any ulterior motives, it would be great. Wouldn't that be a step to heaven? They all had some connections, perhaps relatives of a grand elder. The girls' faces were flushed, their eyes like autumn water, and their gazes at Lin Yun were practically dripping with desire. Cough, cough. Lin Yun felt a headache looking at their watery, ready-for-picking appearance. The relationships of these women were all quite complicated. They might be the granddaughters of some elder or something. Under normal circumstances, Lin Yun was too lazy to touch them, to avoid getting into trouble. It was like the prohibition of office romances between colleagues in a company. Besides, he already had his junior sister, senior sister, and master, so why bother with these common beauties? Sect Master's wife is in a bad mood right now. Go serve her a bath and change her clothes. Remember, be respectful, be gentle, just like you would treat me. Lin Yun repeatedly exhorted. The girls were a bit disappointed, but quickly adjusted their attitudes, feeling some envy towards the sect master's wife who had suddenly appeared. Watching the girls leave for Empress Ancestor Jixiao's side, Lin Yun did not rush off. Instead, he watched as their appearance brought Jixiao back to her senses, and then they serve her a bath and change her clothes. Only then did Lin Yun breathe a sigh of relief. At least for now, she wouldn't come to kill him. But her taste was truly good. What a pity. He didn't know when the next time would be, probably in the immortal realm. Lin Yun, at least for now, dare not court death. He was too busy escaping. He had no intention of returning to his own room. Huang Shi'er was still in there. Arriving at the highest peak of the floating island palace, Lin Yun looked out. With his eyesight, he could vaguely see a huge mountain range ahead. From a high-altitude view, it resembled a fiery phoenix spreading its wings and soaring high. Countless magnificent palaces were densely packed, and the outer city towers were even more numerous. A huge city wall and border pass stood on the boundary, but for immortal sect battles, such things were merely decorations. They were only useful for defending against wild beasts and commoners on a daily basis. Unbeknownst to them, the floating island had already entered the ancestral territory of the Divine Phoenix dynasty. The main army had been left behind, but this was the sect Master Supreme, the Devil Head Lord's palace, so it naturally had the confidence to do so. Below, outside the Imperial City, countless Imperial Dynasty cultivator armies looked up at the island above, their faces somewhat terrified. However, they still tightly gripped the battle spears in their hands. As the cultivator army of the Divine Phoenix Dynasty, they had their own legion titles, the Fire Phoenix Guards and the highest level Immortal Phoenix Guards. In fact, their strength, especially in legion combat, was enough to crush the various immortal sects. Especially when Ancestor Huang Ling Tian was still present, it could be said to be the most powerful force within the Tianyuan realm. Even the Yin-Yang sacred sect could not compare. After all, the territory of the Divine Phoenix Dynasty was simply too vast, with a population of tens of billions. No matter how small the probability of a cultivation genius being born, even if most geniuses were poached by the various immortal sects and noble families, the number of prodigies willing to serve the Imperial Dynasty would still be enormous. The giant floating island covered the sky and obscured the sun. It actually had another name in the outside world, the Dark Sky Palace. Because once this palace appeared, it meant that the great devil head of the demonic sect had appeared, and it meant that night had fallen. The Dark Sky Palace slowly descended until it floated in the void realm 1,000 meters above the ground. Below and opposite the palace were human walls formed by the Divine Phoenix Army. They were either riding celestial horses with fiery hooves or flying in the air, holding demon-slaying swords. All uniformly wore crimson battle armor, forming a tall human wall. Even though they knew they were no match, they still did not retreat because behind them were their families and the universally revered Empress, Your Majesty. Stop. This is the Divine Phoenix territory. Gods and demons are forbidden. A void-breaking realm general stepped forward and shouted with full vigor. This is the Divine Phoenix territory. Gods and demons are forbidden. Countless Divine Phoenix army members shouted in unison, their chi rushing skyward. The clouds in the sky were directly torn apart by this soaring aura. However, the Dark Sky Palace showed no signs of stopping. It continued to press forward slowly but steadily. That's right, it was crushing them. The giant floating island, even in front of a million-strong Divine Phoenix army, seemed somewhat small, but its aura was so majestic that it made people's hearts tremble. A powerful aura of the Ascension realm was no longer concealed in the slightest, directly confronting the Divine Phoenix army as equals. The several generals at the very front tightly gripped the weapons in their hands, their palms beginning to sweat. Only now, facing this current number one devil head in the world, did they realize how much courage was needed. No wonder the 9 great immortal sects needed to unite to have the guts, but they still returned defeated. Hashtag 40 Chapter 40, there was a loud bang in the sky, and I made a grand appearance. Black Heaven Imperial Palace. At the highest point, on the commander's platform, dozens of figures stood tall. Lin Yun, clad in a black-gold demonic robe, with his long hair wildly flying, exuded a monstrous aura. Even many protectors and elders behind him couldn't help but inwardly break into a cold sweat. Fortunately, this man, with his heaven-shaking demonic flames, was on their side. Otherwise, they wouldn't know how to face him. Yin Xueji was among the crowd, looking at Yun'er at this moment. Her beautiful eyes sparkled with brilliance, recalling how the two of them had been intertwined not long ago. Her lower abdomen couldn't help but feel a little hot. Her face couldn't help but flush red. Ling Xuanxue, standing nearby, sensed some strange qi. She looked at her master with some suspicion. Then she looked at the sect master junior brother. She felt a little strange in her heart. Recently, she always felt that her master was hiding something from her. Especially, how her master had become radiant. That peach blossom-like complexion. It made her feel a little envious. The junior sister next to her had the same thought. But junior sister Lu Sueki's watery eyes darted around. Not knowing what she thought of, her face flushed red, and she bit her lip, letting out a soft hum. She glared hatefully at the back of the sect master senior brother. He actually secretly did such a thing with master. Lu Sueki felt a little jealous in her heart, but she couldn't act on it, so she could only vow in her heart. She would definitely exhaust the sect master senior brother in the future. She was the one who confessed her feelings first. It was always her first, wasn't it? As a result, looking at the situation, it seemed she would be last. Lu Sueki glanced at senior sister Shuangxue again. Her heart stirred. If she were with senior sister, they could definitely make the sect master senior brother unable to resist. As soon as this bold idea emerged, it took root in her heart. She secretly glanced at her senior sister, who was as cold as ice. Lu Sueki was also a bit rebellious. At that time, if she and senior sister followed senior brother together, let's see how you can still be so aloof. The junior sister began to feel a little excited. She didn't care if senior brother had an indestructible body, or if he could handle it. Lin Yun inexplicably felt like sneezing. Who is thinking of me again? Sect master, our army will all arrive in another quarter of an hour. Ling Shuangxue took a few steps forward and came to Lin Yun's side to say, as the Grand Elder of the Supervisory Army and the Grand Elder of Punishment, she naturally knew these situations. It's fine. I don't think they dare to make a move. Let's launch the general offensive when all the disciples have arrived. Lin Yun said indifferently with his hands behind his back. As the sect master supreme, Lin Yun was actually quite competent, especially in protecting his own people. In fact, most of their yin-yang sacred sect's disciples came from impoverished families, or were desperate youths, just like Lin Yun back then. After all, no one was born wanting to deal with notorious demonic sects. Of course, the imperial dynasty to which the sacred sect belonged also provided many good talents. This part belonged to the basic foundation. Generally, there weren't too many surprises. Those true prodigies and geniuses often came from humble backgrounds, slowly climbing up step by step. Usually, their growth path was accompanied by various opportunities, and they all had some secrets on them. And such geniuses were what the 9 great immortal sects and noble families all vied for. The addition of such children of luck could invisibly strengthen the sect's luck. However, blessings and misfortunes were intertwined. On the bodies of such prodigy disciples, there was generally karma and trouble, and it could even attract covetousness, thus leading to some disputes over benefits. Lin Yun was once such a prodigy and genius, envied by the saints and personal disciples of the various immortal sects. As the younger ones were defeated, the older ones came, and then the old ancestors emerged from seclusion. The grudges also grew deeper and deeper. But these were all just excuses. The true purpose was to obtain the cultivation secrets and treasures on him. As Lin Yun, who climbed up from the bottom, he naturally knew the difficulties of his disciples. So he specifically gave them an opportunity to take revenge. At the same time, this was also their opportunity. After all, murder and arson bring wealth. Although they won the previous encirclement and suppression by the 9 great immortal sects, the sacred sect also suffered countless casualties. Among them, naturally, were the relatives and friends of many disciples, or even their beloved Tao companions. They suppressed anger and grief in their hearts. In the short term, there might be nothing, but over time, their Tao heart might have problems, making them prone to go into extremes. At that time, the sacred sect might truly become a demonic sect. That was not what Lin Yun hoped to see. This was also his painstaking effort and foundation. If it weren't for these thoughts, with Lin Yun's current realm, he could have directly charged in alone. Who in this world could stop him? As more and more holy sect disciples arrived, they gathered together, their eyes full of hatred looking at the Divine Phoenix army opposite. Now, they also knew that the Divine Phoenix dynasty was actually the mastermind, the instigator who connected several great immortal sects. This hatred was naturally mostly attributed to the Divine Phoenix dynasty. Are they all here? Lin Yun asked softly. Yes, everyone has arrived. Excluding those recuperating and those left to guard the sect, there are a total of 760,000 disciples. Ling Shuangxue reported from side. Lin Yun nodded slightly. It was his turn to perform. Lin Yun looked up slightly, glancing at the cloudless sky. Within his pupils, purple lightning seemed to flash and disappear. Immediately after, a sudden clap of thunder erupted from nowhere. A sudden clap of thunder echoed between heaven and earth. A colossal 9 heavens divine lightning, 100 zhang wide, appeared out of thin air. It struck the open ground between the 2 opposing armies, carving out a bottomless pit. The earth shook, and everyone was inexplicably shocked. Immediately after, before they could react, Lin Yun's tall figure appeared in the outer world. He stood in the void realm, directly above that deep pit. Dark lightning and demonic clouds seemed to swirl around his body. The void realm crackled, as if space itself could not bear the pressure and was about to tear apart. This was a new application method he had just figured out, full of light pollution and lightning special effects. Lin Yun felt it was very cool. This is more in line with my temperament. As the saying goes, man is iron, pretense is steel, one day without showing off, one starves. Besides the armies of both factions present, the surrounding area was also densely packed with cultivators watching the show. looking at Lin Yun, who was like a demon god, descended to the mortal realm at this moment. They all involuntarily widened their eyes. He truly was the legendary Devil King. Look at that dark lightning. What kind of demonic path divine ability is this, to be able to control the power of thunder? His aura alone was enough to suppress a 1,000,000 cultivator army. Is this the might of the Ascension realm? Or is this the unique power of the demonic sect supreme? Otherwise, the Ascension realm powerhouses recorded before didn't seem so magnificent. For example, Ancestor Huang Lingtian. Lin Yun no longer concealed his qi, and his qi directly connected with heaven and earth. At this moment, it was as if he was the heavens, representing the will of heaven and earth. Everyone involuntarily turned their gazes towards Lin Yun. Their hearts were shaken, filled with awe. Lin Yun scanned his surroundings, his eyes indifferent. I am here for an explanation. Uninvolved individuals, please retreat further, lest you invite trouble upon yourselves. As his voice fell, many immortal sects and noble families, and even those demonic path cultivators, all quickly retreated hundreds of miles. Those who could come here were naturally not ordinary people, so they could still observe the scene ahead. Lin Yun waved his hand lightly. A row of magic treasures appeared before him. That is, everyone present was greatly shaken. Those are the life-bound treasures of those few sect master leaders of the righteous immortal sects. Everyone's pupils constricted, disbelieving. And that is Ancestor Huang Lingtian's identity token. There was an uproar within the Divine Phoenix dynasty as well. What did this represent? Everyone knew in their hearts. Indeed, Lin Yun announced his battle results. Xian Tiangang, Lei Zhen Xiao, Dao Wuchen, Jian Wuji, Great Master Yuanjue. That old thief, Huang Lingtian, all have been executed by me. His voice resounded through heaven and earth, making the 1,000,000-strong army fall silent at this moment, plunged into a deathly stillness. The Divine Phoenix dynasty, for plotting to overthrow my sacred sect, is unforgivable. The other 8 sects are given 3 days to prepare and offer their sincerity. Otherwise, a great calamity of sect destruction awaits. Lin Yun directly sentenced the Divine Phoenix dynasty to death. Blood must be paid with blood. And the other 8 sects, including the previous Howard Academy and others, all had to show their sect's sincerity, at least half of their treasure vault collection. Only then could they avert disaster by losing wealth. Lin Yun also didn't want to just go on a killing spree. Too much killing would accumulate too much karmic obstruction, which would have an adverse effect on his ascension tribulation. Moreover, it was unnecessary. They were all ordinary cultivators. They were merely incited by the higher-ups, hot-headed, and their crimes weren't worthy of death. And if he killed them all, how would he kill several million, even tens of millions of cultivators? He wouldn't be able to kill them all in a few months. And it might not only cause public outrage. The heavenly Tao might even be unable to watch and directly bring down the Great Tribulation ahead of time. So Lin Yun thought of such a compromise. It could be said to be the best of both worlds. After announcing his decision, Lin Yun looked at the opposite side with indifferent eyes. His gaze swept over the countless bewildered Divine Phoenix army, as if he saw the Empress, Your Majesty, hidden within the imperial city. Kill! Lin Yun's voice was not loud, but it seemed to explode in everyone's ears. This simple word determined the life and death and fate of countless people. Chapter 41, Your Majesty, do you miss me? As Lin Yun's words fell, countless holy sect disciples rushed out in a flurry. They were orderly amidst the chaos. Following the pre-planned teams, they formed groups of 2, 5, and 10, with one group seamlessly connecting to the next. They complemented each other, making up for each other's weaknesses, and formed legions. Be my command. All troops attack. The Divine Phoenix army on the opposite side also let out an earth-shattering roar. Watching the swarming devilish army charge, the several generals exchanged glances. They knew the time had come to die for the imperial dynasty. As the saying goes, train an army for 1,000 days, use it for an hour. Follow me and kill. An eye for an eye, blood for blood. Give me back my senior brother's life. Imperial dynasty's glory. No regrets, even in death. Various slogans echoed, like the final reverberations of life. In the Tianyuan realm, there hadn't been a cultivator battle of this scale for tens of thousands of years. The heavens seemed to be weeping. Countless blood chi, evil chi, and the resentment of those on the brink of death intertwined, forming a malevolent aura. In a brief moment, this world seemed to plunge into a doomsday catastrophe. Countless flying swords and magic treasures emitted dazzling light, then fell into obscurity. Cultivators from both sides dropped like rain, continuously falling. Some were able to get back up, then flew back into the fray, continuing to fight. Some were directly smashed into pulp. Dismembered limbs were even more gruesome to behold. Rivers of blood formed in mere moments. Watching this tragic scene, even Lin Yun felt a pang of unbearable sorrow. He closed his eyes slightly. However, his not directly intervening was already the greatest mercy. Behind him, junior sister Lu Sweki nervously clutched his sleeve. Senior brother, they're all so miserable, should we? Lu Sweki couldn't bring herself to say the rest of the sentence. She bit her lip until blood seeped out, and her eyes were a little red. Anyone with a shred of humanity would find it unbearable to witness the horrors of this hell on earth. Ling Shuangxue and Master Yin Xueji had already charged out, clashing with the opposing void-shattering realm generals. Junior sister's injuries hadn't healed, and she wasn't the type with a bloodthirsty personality, so Lin Yin told her to stay. This is the essence of the world. Isn't it cruel? But the path of cultivation is precisely like this. It's about stepping on the bones of others to reach the peak. If we lose, the sacred sect would have long become ruins, and countless disciples would be utterly annihilated. Lin Yin said in a calm tone. From the moment one embarks on the path of cultivation, one must be prepared for death. This was the realization Lin Yun had after countless battles. Lu Sweki pursed her lips, seemingly on the verge of tears. I understand. I'm sorry, Sect Master Senior Brother. Lin Yun turned and looked at her. You wait for me here. You are not allowed to step out of the floating island. Understand? Okay. Lu Sweki nodded obediently. Seeing the fear and pity in her eyes, Lin Yun's heart softened. She wasn't meant to embark on this path herself. He was the one who led her down this path. She hadn't suffered much or experienced many setbacks over the years. Aside from being willing to risk her life for him and kill for her senior brother, she would usually rescue injured birds. It's all right. After this, there will be at least 10,000 years of peace. By then, senior brother will take you to ascend to the immortal realm together, okay? Lin Yun pinched his junior sister's small nose, speaking with a touch of affection. This brash girl who used to always follow him around had now grown into a beautiful and radiant woman. Of course, he wouldn't abandon her. Okay. Lu Sweki nodded docilely, her heart filled with sweetness. Remember senior brother's words. No matter what happens, senior brother might have gone out for something. But I will definitely come back. Do you understand? Thinking that he might have to flee for his life soon, Lin Yun gave his junior sister a heads up. Unlike his master and senior sister, his junior sister had always grown up under his protection. Her mind hadn't undergone as much tempering. So Lin Yun was a little worried. If he really disappeared for decades, or even hundreds or thousands of years, would she die of depression? That was definitely not the outcome Lin Yun wished to see. I know. I'll always wait for you, Sect Master Senior Brother. Although Lu Sweki felt a little strange, she still obediently agreed. Only then did Lin Yun nod in relief. Then his figure slowly dissipated. In an instant, he arrived deep within the imperial palace. This was Her Majesty the Empress's bedchamber. Although the outside world was already a scene of earth-shattering slaughter and rivers of blood, it was utterly quiet here. Seeing Lin Yun appear, all the palace maids trembled and cowered to the side. The guards were about to rush forward to stop him at the risk of their lives. Her Majesty the Empress's voice sounded just in time. Let him in. The personal guards were drenched in cold sweat, quickly leaving as if granted a great pardon. If given the choice, who would truly wish to die? Lin Yun entered through the main door. He looked at his former girlfriend, kneeling on a prayer mat, praying. Her posture was still as outstanding as ever. She knelt on the ground, her forehead pressed against the prayer mat. From behind, her waist appeared exceptionally slender, while the parts that should be full were exceptionally ample. Lin Yun glanced at the top, where there was a statue of a goddess. This was the ancestral master of the Divine Phoenix Imperial Dynasty, the first founding empress, who was said to have formed a contract with an immortal phoenix. She had ascended countless tens of thousands of years ago. If praying to gods and Buddhas were useful, what would be the point of striving? You always place your hopes on others. Lin Yun said indifferently. Huang Lianyu's delicate body trembled slightly. She slowly rose, her back to Lin Yun. You know everything, don't you? Her voice was very calm. But I want to hear you say it yourself. Lin Yun walked behind her, placing a hand on her shoulder. Huang Lianyu shivered but did not turn around. Was I wrong? I was also doing it for self-preservation. Why should I become a cauldron, a plaything? There was a hint of bitterness in Huang Lianyu's voice. A glorious and boundless empress. Yet who knows that she is merely a cauldron cultivated by others? Lin Yun remained unmoved, gently picking up a strand of her dark long hair and playing with it. That's not a reason for you to deceive and betray me. We could have faced it together. It was your own choice that led to all of this. Huang Lianyu trembled slightly again, clearly not at peace internally. Moreover, since you feel injustice about your own fate, why did you push Huang Shi'er down this path? Huang Lian, you couldn't refute him at all. She bit her lip, her voice trembling slightly. That's right, I arranged everything. I sent her to find you. I wanted you and that old monster to suffer grievous losses, preferably to perish together. Or, after your death, with a luck blessing from presiding over the elimination of devilish chi, she would grow faster and break through her realm. At that time, the old monster's attention would naturally shift to her. My past betrayal of you was also because you were too weak, not enough for me to give up everything. Are you satisfied? Huang Lian, you seem to have thrown caution to the wind. Do you think you were wrong? Lin Yun's eyes were somewhat complex. In this world, she was indeed both fortunate and tragic, but it was all her choice. She could have enjoyed supreme glory with him. His past self was also so naive, almost believing that she was his lifelong partner. Turn around and face me when you speak. Huang Lianyu took a deep breath. For the sake of cultivating to immortal ascension, what was this humiliation now? In truth, she also regretted it, and even still held feelings for Lin Yun. However, she was actually an excellent candidate for cultivating the path of ruthlessness. Such feelings were simply not enough to make her sacrifice. Tell me, were you wrong? Lin Yun looked at Her Majesty the Empress kneeling before him. He reached out and pinched her smooth, jade-like chin, making her look up at him. Huang Lianyu closed her eyes, as if resigning herself to fate. But how could Lin Yun let her have her way? Look at me. His fingers tightened slightly. Huang Lianyu's eyes were filled with humiliation, the corners of her eyes a little red. The noble empress, the monarch of billions of subjects, was now a prisoner of old Devil Lin. A trace of blood seeped from Huang Lianyu's lips. I was wrong. After saying these words, Huang Lianyu seemed to have exhausted all her strength. Lin Yun still held her chin, a smile appearing at the corner of his mouth. Ha 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 ha. Lin Yun laughed uncontrollably. You can admit your mistake too. Tell me loudly, were you wrong? Lin Yun gently patted her fair cheek, full of humiliation. I was wrong. What do you want? Do you want to kill me? Huang Lian, you seem to get angry too. She gritted her teeth, staring fixedly at Lin Yun, absolutely unwilling to believe he would kill her. You got a temper, quite tough, aren't you? I feel like you're not admitting your mistake. You're afraid I'll kill you, or take your immortal phoenix primordialine, aren't you? A smile appeared at the corner of Lin Yun's mouth. The current him was no longer the naive young man he once was. Immediately after, his gaze changed. The sharp, cold look made Huang Lianyu's expression change, as if she were seeing Lin Yun for the first time. You? A hint of panic finally appeared on Huang Lianyu's face, but she still had a trump card. Moreover, she now had a new goal. Old ancestor Huang Lingtian's identity token. According to the Empress legacy of the Divine Phoenix Imperial Dynasty, that item, combined with her Empress's mark, seemed to be able to open a certain ancient teleportation array deep within the Imperial Mausoleum. So she could now accept all humiliation. It was unclear how much of this woman's current behavior was genuine and how much was feigned. Lin Yun looked at the pitiful Empress. Her exquisite and beautiful face was both familiar and strange to him. Lin Yun finally erupted, clutching her chin, making her beautiful eyes gaze into his. A hint of fervent heat was hidden deep within Lin Yun's eyes. If one were to ask what the best way to get revenge on a woman is, presumably everyone knows. Living sometimes is more painful than death. Chapter 42 Yun, you are so shameless. Inside the main hall, in front of the first empress who founded the imperial dynasty, it felt somewhat absurd. Huang Lianyu felt her cheeks growing numb. She looked at Lin Yun. Her beautiful eyes were filled with pleading. Lin Yun did not soften. After all, what she had done to him before was not at all kind. Doesn't it taste good? Lin Yun's eyes were full of mockery. Huang Lianyu pursed her lips. She said nothing. Lin Yun gently pinched her chin. Tell me, old Devil Lin asked softly, but his tone held an unyielding coldness. Huang Lianyu felt infinite shame and humiliation in her heart. Her jade lips parted slightly, and she spoke with some difficulty. It's delicious. Only then did Lin Yun nod in satisfaction. Immediately, he grabbed her hair and made her stand up. He scrutinized her delicate body from top to bottom. His eyes showed some satisfaction. Impossible. If that's the case, I'd rather die in front of you. Huang Lian, you clutched her chest. Her face was filled with panic and pleading. She looked at Lin Yun cautiously. Yun, you know that the cultivation technique I cultivate prevents me from losing my virginity before immortal ascension. If it weren't for that, how could I have endured such humiliation for so many years? Don't force me. Lin Yun's eyes showed a cold glint. So what? Die in front of me now. I can't wait. Lin Yun didn't believe this woman would be so decisive. But he also knew in his heart that truly taking her primordial might be difficult. This woman, her Tao heart, was incredibly firm. She could even do something like what she just did. She could sacrifice everything, but she absolutely could not jeopardize her path to Tao. However, the more this was the case, the more interested Lin Yun became. Seeing the resolute look on her face, Lin Yun was also pondering. Huang Lian, you had previously planted a restriction on herself using immortal phoenix bloodline power to threaten Huang Lingtian. Once she lost her virginity, it would mean the failure of her cultivation. She would self-destruct instantly. At that time, his little brother would probably be blown to smithereens. That's why she had been safe and sound all these years. To appease ancestor Lingtian, she even adopted Huang Shi and meticulously nurtured her to become her stand-in. Her heart seemed devoid of warmth, kinship, or love. She only wished for immortal ascension. From the legacy left by ancestor Lingtian, Lin Yun did discover some things. They could alleviate her current predicament, but the success rate was unknown, and the risk was great. Lin Yun was also somewhat hesitant. After all, his second brother was no laughing matter. Lin Yun lowered his head slightly and sniffed her neck. The Empress smelled very fragrant, and she was very beautiful, especially her figure and temperament. What a pity, if she were to die just like this. In Lin Yun's heart, he had already sentenced her to death. Everything now was merely to torment her. Do you think I have no way to deal with you like this? Tell me, do you want to die or live? Lin Yun released Huang Lianyu. He unceremoniously sat on her exclusive throne. Huang Lianyu bit her lip. Of course I don't want to die, but are you really willing to let me die? With your aptitude, you can certainly cultivate to immortal ascension. At that time, won't I still be yours? I promise you, I will be your exclusive woman. Huang Lianyu bit her lip, her eyes glistening. You liked that taste just now, didn't you? I know many more things. You wouldn't be willing to kill me, would you? Huang Lianyu said somewhat seductively, but Lin Yun knew she was just putting on an act for him. Although her acting was good, because her appearance was truly too exquisite and cold yet alluring. When she made such a fawning expression, there was a huge contrast. Even old Devil Lin found it hard to maintain his composure. She was indeed a top-tier woman, but with a wicked heart. He wouldn't dare bring such a woman home. Otherwise, he might not even know if she poisoned his other women. Lin Yun was in a dilemma. Moreover, he had another idea in his heart. He wanted her to test something for him. That was the ancient teleportation array in the Imperial Mausoleum. Huang Lingtian had mentioned a speculation that it might require something from the Empress's legacy. As someone who usurped the throne, he didn't understand these things very well, so he had this speculation. But Huang Lianyu had been very dissatisfied with him all these years, and even avoided him. She would not be alone with him, nor did she want to talk to him. Huang Lingtian also had no way to force her. The most important thing was that this teleportation array was not of much use to him. It wasn't worth the risk, so he hadn't tried to communicate with Huang Lianyu. However, Lin Yun had another concern in his heart. If the ancient teleportation array could really be opened with the Empress's legacy, what if Huang Lianyu abandoned him and ran away first? Wouldn't that be a huge loss? But if not, how would he escape later? Would he be directly slapped to death by the ancestral Master Empress? Old Devil Lin fell into a tangle. But for now, it was just a guess. Come here, Lin Yun said coldly. Huang Lianyu lifted her lavish skirt. She came to Lin Yun's side and obediently lay in his arms, a fragrant beauty in his embrace. Lin Yun was also not polite. Huang Lianyu bit her lip. She clenched her teeth tightly. This small amount of grievance and pain was nothing. Lin Yun narrowed his eyes slightly and said with some pleasure, if you want me not to kill you, that's also possible. You have to agree to a few of my requests. First, tell me about your legacy, and then we'll discuss other things. At that time, I want you to abdicate in favor of Huang Shi. How about that? Lin Yun said, pinching Huang Lianyu. Huang Lianyu let out a fragrant breath, feeling somewhat uncomfortable. Anything is fine, whatever you wish. I can abdicate. I'll also give you the legacy. But actually Huang Shi already has the complete legacy. But fearing you wouldn't believe me, I'll give it to you now. Huang Lianyu knew that Lin Yun was also a suspicious person by nature. So she proactively handed over all the Divine Phoenix Dynasty's Empress legacy for Lin Yun to examine. Lin Yun glanced at it, a sharp glint flashing in his eyes. There was indeed a record of that great teleportation array within it, but there was no detailed information, only stating that the Divine Phoenix token plus the Empress seal could activate it. So that was it. No wonder that old Ghost Huang Lingtian had never been able to do it. However, she actually didn't conceal it. This was a cross-domain teleportation array. Didn't she want to run away? Or did she think he didn't know? Lin Yun remained calm. He suppressed the questions in his heart. And then, one more thing. I'm not very satisfied right now, Lin Yun said, pinching Huang Lianyu's chin. I can still. Huang Lianyu looked at old Devil Lin, pleading for mercy. Seeing her pitiful appearance, Lin Yun felt a surge of conquest. The former Empress, Your Majesty, was now a prisoner. Then he whispered something in her ear. Huang Lianyu's face turned somewhat pale, as if she had been startled, and she looked at Lin Yun with an incredulous expression. Her eyes were filled with shock. Yun, how can you be so shameless? Lin Yun snorted coldly. A prisoner. Do you still intend to resist my orders? If not, I will grant you death right now. You choose for yourself. Lin Yun watched Empress Your Majesty at his leisure. He wasn't worried at all that she would lash out in desperation. If she did, it would save him trouble. He would simply finish her off. Chapter 43. The Perfect X with Their Own Motives. As a cultivator, they had long since achieved Bigu at their current realm. So, Lin Yun naturally had no dietary restrictions. A cultivator's entire body, inside and out, was very clean. Therefore, a threesome was also permissible. Besides, Huang Lian, you had no choice at all. The two walked out of the inner hall. Lin Yun's lips curved into an evil smile. This is truly great. I vented some frustration. If it were under normal circumstances, she might not have agreed. So, this really was a blessing in disguise. It could even be considered an unexpected gain. You still won't let me go? Looking at Lin Yun, Huang Lianyu's heart was filled with intense hatred. This scoundrel of a man. He was so shameless. Watching her walk ahead, her posture was a bit awkward. Alas, it's still a pity. Lin Yun sighed again in his heart. Who could have imagined that such a queen was, in private, such a woman, so obedient and docile? He didn't know if it was real or a disguise to curry favor with him. Take me to your imperial dynasty's mausoleum to have a look. Lin Yun knew that this woman had too many schemes. If there was anything, he should just tell her directly. Otherwise, it would be even more troublesome later. Huang Lianyu wiped the sweat from her cheeks and chest with a handkerchief. What for? Inside is that old thing's territory. I'm not very familiar with it. The treasure vault and the national treasury. I've given them all to you. Huang Lianyu now seemed to desire nothing. Lin Yun was not interested in those worldly possessions right now. He only wanted to secure his own escape route. Even killing this woman was no longer the most important matter. Otherwise, the Empress Ancestral Master would grind him to dust. Stop talking nonsense. Just go when I tell you to. Lin Yun directly slapped her. It felt somewhat springy. Huang Lianyu bit her lip. Her face flushed. All right, I'll take you. Then she walked ahead, her figure swaying. Huang Lianyu frowned, cursing Lin Yun in her heart while also feeling a bit happy. Because she knew that her opportunity would come soon. She had already thought of a reason. She would deceive him, telling him it was the key to open the treasure vault. Then she would have a chance to escape directly to another world. The world was vast. Wouldn't she be free to develop as she pleased? The supplies she brought would be enough for her to cultivate to immortal ascension. Although the process might be somewhat arduous, it certainly wouldn't be as easy as being an empress. But it was better than being his plaything, right? The feeling just now, though somewhat strange, still made Huang Lianyu feel humiliated, a great disgrace. She would definitely get her revenge later. Both of them harbored ulterior motives. Yet, secretly, they also hit it off perfectly. Only heaven knew. Both of them were now in the same boat, fallen from grace. Both needed to use that teleportation formation to escape. Lin Yun had no other choice. This was the simplest method. Such an ancient cross-realm teleportation formation could only be found in the former immortal Phoenix Imperial Dynasty. As for the method, it had long been lost. This kind of large-scale, cross-realm teleportation formation involved deep spatial rules, which was true immortal magic. Perhaps only the legendary immortal Phoenix might have left behind such a legacy. Following Huang Lianyu, Lin Yun naturally knew the risks were great. He might even accidentally let her escape. But compared to his own life, what did that matter? And she had almost become his threesome partner. It could be considered revenge. For now, the intense hatred had subsided. Lin Yun looked at her figure, actually feeling a bit nostalgic. But alas, he had offered his heart to the bright moon. Yet the moon's conscience was eaten by a dog. It was undeniable. They had been very happy together once. A loving couple, a match made in heaven. Lin Yun sometimes recalled those times. First love, how could he forget it? Sighing inwardly, Lin Yun's gaze was complex. This was cultivation. Everyone walked their own Tao. Soon, led by Huang Lianyu, the two arrived before the Imperial Mausoleum. Before entering, Lin Yun glanced outside. There was no sign of the war ending. It wouldn't end until the hatred in their hearts was fully unleashed. Lin Yun was too lazy to interfere. The two walked into the Imperial Mausoleum. From the sky, this location was precisely at the heart of the Fire Phoenix. An entire mountain had been hollowed out. Lin Yun wasn't worried about Huang Lianyu playing any tricks. If there were mechanisms here that could deal with him, why would Huang Lingtian, that old thing, have to hide overseas? Immediately after, the two saw a huge blood pool. Countless blood conduits, like a formation and blood vessels, gathered the blood and flowed it into the huge blood pool. Huang Lingtian had once soaked in it, using the heart blood of countless descendants to maintain his eternal youth. At the same time, He could also evade the Heavenly Tao's search. Haha, your imperial dynasty is truly bright. Righteous immortal sex. This is righteous immortal sex. Ha ha ha. Lin Yun chuckled mockingly. Then he used a shadow recording stone to record this scene. Even if he were no longer around, it could leave the sacred sect with a means of counterattack. Huang Lianyu watched this scene with an expressionless face. This was something she had known about for a long time, even tacitly aloud. With so many blood relatives disappearing, how could it be hidden from her? So, all of this happened right under her nose. Lin Yun saw her silence. He knew this woman knew everything. She was indeed ruthless. Lin Yun also grew somewhat wary of her in his heart. The most poisonous thing is a woman's heart. It was a good thing he hadn't been gentle with her just now. The two toured along the way. Occasionally, Huang Lianyu would explain things. Comparing it with the immortal phoenix legacy he had acquired, Lin Yun also gained some insights. There were even some treasure vaults and medicinal pills. Lin Yun packed them all up directly. Huang Lianyu watched this scene without saying anything. These were all external possessions to her. At the same time, she suddenly became nervous, because the two had arrived at the deepest part. Here lay an ancient teleportation formation, but it wasn't apparent from the surface. It was just a small altar shape, without formation patterns or anything similar. The energy source also seemed to be connected to the Imperial Mausoleum. What is this? Lin Yun asked intentionally, because Huang Lingtian, in order to study this thing, had once made a rubbing of it and given it to formation great masters outside to study. So he recognized it at a glance. Huang Lianyu's heart stirred. She knew her chance had come. This is a passage to the resting place of the immortal phoenix ancestral master. Huang Lianyu said calmly. Immortal phoenix's resting place? Lin Yun showed a look of interest, but in his heart he cursed. Damn, this woman can really fabricate stories. I haven't been there either, and I don't know what's inside. Huang Lianyu showed a curious expression. Lin Yun took a deep breath. Can you take me to see it? I want to see if the legendary immortal phoenix really exists. Huang Lianyu hesitated. I can, yes. However, as she spoke, she glanced at Lin Yun, seemingly not wanting to take him in to disturb her ancestor's rest. However what? Lin Yun seemed to be losing patience. Chapter 44. Everyone flees when disaster strikes. Huang Lianyu frowned slightly. She seemed to be genuinely thinking. Lin Yun was almost amused by her acting. What? You're about to abdicate, and you still care about this? Lin Yun actively tried to speed things up for her. Huang Lianyu seemed to be persuaded. She pursed her lips. All right, I can take you in, but I hope you don't disturb our ancestors' peace. If you don't promise me, I won't let you in. Huang Lianyu's acting at this moment was worthy of a master performer. Lin Yun couldn't help but admire her. If she couldn't succeed, who could? No wonder he himself had stumbled. All right, I promise you. Stop at the nonsense. Lin Yun looked impatient. Give me Huang Lingtian's identity token. This is the key. Huang Lianyu suppressed the joy in her heart. Although teleportation carried risks, it was better than accidentally losing her life. She had keenly sensed Lin Yun's killing intent, so she was eager to leave. Oh, is this it? Here you go. Lin Yun pulled out a token and threw it to Huang Lianyu. This must be that divine phoenix token. But what was the Empress seal? Lin Yun was a little curious. As soon as she confirmed that the formation could operate, Lin Yun was ready to act. Even if she immediately self-destructed, Lin Yun would not hesitate. Huang Lianyu took the token. She held it with a solemn expression and carefully examined it. Then, under Lin Yun's gaze, she placed it directly on a certain Rei's part. Immediately after, Lin Yun watched with full concentration, observing every detail. Because he didn't know how this thing worked, nor did he know if it would succeed. He had even less idea how to cooperate. That's it. Lin Yun stared, both nervous and expectant. But there was no reaction. He suddenly felt a little disappointed. His gaze towards Huang Lianyu also became somewhat dangerous. Are you messing with me? As the saying goes, the greater the expectation, the greater the disappointment. A sharp glint shot from Lin Yun's eyes. Wait, I don't know either. Let me try again. Huang Lianyu seemed to be startled. But in reality, she was testing Lin Yun's reaction. Seeing his current state, he seemed a bit too agitated. Could it be that he knew what she was going to do? Huang Lianyu was a little suspicious. Don't rush. Let me think carefully which step went wrong. Huang Lianyu held her breath. She seemed to be trying her best to recall something. Seeing her like this, hope involuntarily rose in Lin Yun's heart again. Even if you run, it's fine. Just activate the teleportation formation for me. Lin Yun would not risk his own life for a woman. Let me try again. Didn't I give you my legacy? Didn't it say something about the Empress seal? Huang Lianyu seemed to suddenly remember something. She proactively revealed it. What is that? Lin Yun asked proactively. This Empress seal is actually a kind of imperial dynasty luck. If Huang Shi'er becomes the Empress, perhaps it can also work. Huang Lianyu said proactively. At the same time, She observed Lin Yun's micro-expressions. Huang Shi'er can also? Lin Yun secretly breathed a sigh of relief. This scene was keenly noticed by Huang Lianyu. She immediately knew that he probably knew her plan, but she revealed so much information just to make him feel at ease. With Huang Shi'er, he should be less nervous, right? This was Huang Lianyu's overt scheme. The only reason the other party dared not act against her now was that he wanted her to test the formation. He wanted her to be a scapegoat, to verify his guess, even at the risk of letting her escape. Huang Lianyu knew this was her only chance, but she also didn't know how fast this thing would operate, or if it would be interrupted. However, she had another plan in mind. She bet Lin Yun wouldn't dare, regardless of some unknown reason. He seemed to care a lot about this teleportation formation. Huang Lianyu confirmed this point in her heart, so she could use this psychological aspect of the other party. Lin Yun indeed didn't dare to gamble, so he could only watch Huang Lianyu operating something. Step back a bit. Your chi is too strong. It might damage the formation patterns. Huang Lianyu tested him again. Lin Yun took a deep breath. Okay, he could only retreat a few steps. Watching the scene, Huang Lianyu was delighted. Wait, how is Huang Shi'er supposed to become the next empress? Lin Yun was practically showing his cards. Huang Lianyu hesitated for a moment. Just hold the grand ceremony and ascend to the throne. The imperial dynasty luck will naturally be bestowed upon her. Oh, I see. Neither of them exposed the other. Lin Yun wanted to see if this woman was really that lucky. At the same time, he also hoped it would succeed. Otherwise, he would be in trouble too. Under his gaze, Huang Lianyu stepped directly onto the platform. Then she nervously looked at Lin Yun. Don't make any rash moves, or it might be damaged. Both of them now seemed to know what the other was doing, but neither exposed the other. No wonder they were once a couple. Birds of a feather flocked together. Good. A sharp glint appeared in Lin Yun's eyes. Huang Lianyu took a deep breath. A mark slowly emerged on her forehead. It was a fire phoenix totem with wings spread wide. Lin Yun's heart stirred. Huang Shi'er seemed to have shown this mark last time. This made him feel a little more at ease. Huang Lianyu also became a little nervous. She also didn't know what would happen next. However, after they waited for a while, nothing seemed to happen. Lin Yun didn't even feel the slightest chi fluctuation. They exchanged glances. What's going on? Lin Yun asked. Damn it, could it be that heaven wants to destroy me? I don't know either, Huang Lianyu said with some confusion. There was a hint of bitterness in her heart. Could it be that she ultimately couldn't change her fate? Was she going to die? Are you playing tricks? Lin Yun asked, unwilling to give up. Huang Lianyu was about to speak. Suddenly, a flash of white light flickered, and her figure disappeared directly. She seemed to have finally escaped to safety. However, this was merely a predetermined fate. As a chess piece, she had long lost her freedom without even realizing it. It wasn't until later, in the immortal Phoenix ruins, that she regained her self-awareness, but things had already changed irrevocably. She couldn't accept herself like that and begged Lin Yun to let her go. At the last moment, she revealed a pure smile, but by then, everything was irreversible. At this moment, Lin Yun was stunned. He looked at the small altar. Does this thing also ambush people? I wasn't ready yet. Lin Yun was furious, then overjoyed. This formation was indeed effective. But why did he feel like he was being played by the formation? Lin Yun wanted to kick it, but then thought better of it. If he broke it, no one might be able to fix it. That would ruin his grand plan. He also didn't know if this thing was random or fixed point. Lin Yun carefully recalled Huang Lianyu's previous operations. He noticed that she seemed to have subtly moved a few small stones or similar objects. Immediately, Lin Yun went to take a look. Then he found that one of the small stones had actually shattered. This is a one-time item, a coordinate? Lin Yun looked at the remaining 2 shattered small stones. So he couldn't go find her anymore? That's great, but there's only one immortal realm. I like to see where you run. Moreover, he had already had his fun. She was already broken by him, so it counted as collecting some interest first. Now he had also found a way out. On this joyous day, perhaps it's best not to be angry. The most urgent task now was to let Huang Shi'er inherit the throne first. Then he had to think about how to bid farewell to his master, senior sister, and junior sister. Should he take them all before leaving? And it had to be done secretly. Moreover, Lin Yun also had some expectations for the unknown new world. With his current cultivation, once he appeared in another world, wouldn't he immediately be invincible? He would surely be surrounded by beauties. Chapter 45: The New Emperor Ascends the Throne, the beginning of farewell. Coming out of the Imperial Mausoleum, Lin Yun did not hesitate. He immediately transformed into a streak of light, arriving at the battlefield outside the city in an instant. Lin Yun's figure suddenly appeared in the middle of the battlefield. The aura of the Ascension Realm was instantly released, directly suppressing all 1 million people on the spot. In an instant, All the magic treasures and flying swords seemed to lose power. The chaotic battle, which moments ago was filled with shouts of killing and earth-shattering clashes, immediately became silent. Lin Yun's aura enveloped all directions. The space seemed to have solidified. The war is over. The Empress of the Divine Phoenix dynasty has been executed. Lin Yun's calm voice resounded throughout the heavens and earth. Everyone doubted whether their ears had deceived them, especially those cultivators who already knew that Lin Yun and the Empress had a relationship. Was this old devil Lin truly so ruthless? He could even lay hands on his first love, his white moonlight, truly worthy of being a great devil king. The numerous imperial dynasty armies fell silent, a deathly stillness enveloping them. They clutched their weapons tightly. Their eyes were already bloodshot from the killing. Was the Divine Phoenix dynasty, which had lasted tens of thousands of years, truly going to fall? Before everyone could react, Lin Yun immediately announced, "By the Empress's dying wish, I announce that Imperial Princess Huang Shi shall succeed the Empress's throne, and from this moment on, become the Empress of the Divine Phoenix dynasty." As Lin Yun's voice fell, a huge golden light suddenly shot out from the sky. It shone upon the floating island. Immediately after, Huang Shi suddenly appeared before the eyes of the 1 million people present. She seemed not to have fully recovered, unaware of what had happened. Lin Yun was also a little bewildered. Is this the Imperial dynasty's luck, or is it favored by the heavenly Tao? No wonder Huang Lian you could cultivate so smoothly. However, Huang Shi had now lost her primordial Yin. He wondered how significant the impact would be. Never mind, he wouldn't bother with it. At worst, if he became powerful enough in the future, he would come back for her. Lin Yun looked at the dazzling Huang Shi at this moment. He transmitted his voice, saying, "From today onwards, the Divine Phoenix dynasty is entrusted to you. I will answer your questions later. First, stabilize the morale of the army." Huang Shi regained her senses. Looking at Lin Yun, her heart was somewhat agitated. She hadn't expected this moment to come so quickly. She had originally thought that at most, she would become a canary kept by him. She hadn't expected him to actually let her inherit the Empress's authority. This was a super ancient imperial dynasty with hundreds of billions of people. The power within it was boundless. I know what to do." Huang Shi immediately began to deliver a speech and express her stance. She also decided that from now on, she would advance and retreat together with the sacred sect. All past grievances would be forgiven, and that would be the end of it. Lin Yun also immediately expressed his stance. From then on, the two families would form an alliance. This dramatic scene left everyone somewhat bewildered. One moment, blood flowed like rivers, and corpses piled up like mountains from the fighting. The next moment, they were like brothers. According to common sense, this would, of course, be impossible. Not to mention the sacred sect side, who were red-eyed from killing and would not agree. Even within the imperial dynasty, there would have to be a struggle for power. But under Lin Yun's powerful suppression, everyone suppressed the hatred and doubts in their hearts. They could only accept it for now. Otherwise, they would probably be beaten to death on the spot. Under Lin Yun's supreme authority, the holy sect disciples began to retreat in an orderly fashion. Left behind on the ground were scattered limbs and countless magic treasure fragments. To clean up this battlefield would probably take more than half a month. But that was not something Lin Yun was concerned about. Now that he had found a way out, he was eager to verify it. However, the most urgent task was still to stabilize the situation on his side. Lin Yun found his master Yun Xueji and senior sister Ling Xuanxue and the others. "I need to stay here for a few days. You all go back first." "You go back too." Lin Yun then looked at his somewhat reluctant junior sister Lu Sueki. In the face of matters of life and death, Lin Yun was too lazy to engage in romantic sentiments. It wasn't as if there wouldn't be another chance. Moreover, he couldn't let the Empress ancestral master react. If she knew he was going to run away, he wondered if she would go mad. Lin Yun couldn't afford to gamble on that risk, so he could only keep it from his master and the others for now. Of course, Lin Yun would later leave voice recording jade slips for them separately to explain the situation. "Okay, then you must come back quickly." Lu Sueki was reluctant, looking back every few steps. Ling Xuanxue, however, didn't think much of it. But just then, the voice of the sect master junior brother sounded in her ear. "Help me keep an eye on her. Don't let her run around, but don't restrict her. She is very dangerous." Ling Xuanxue naturally knew who the sect master junior brother was referring to. The only woman worthy of such importance was her. She nodded slightly. At this moment, she still didn't know that this parting might last for several hundred years. Lu Sueki seemed to sense something. She turned around again, looking at the sect master senior brother, seemingly wanting to imprint his figure firmly in her heart. She didn't know what was wrong with her. She just suddenly felt a little sad. She wanted to throw herself into senior brother's arms for a hug. Lin Yun looked at his junior sister's delicate expression, a pang in his heart. But he knew he couldn't show any weakness. Otherwise, with Ji Xiao's intelligence, she might discover something. Then he would be in danger. Master Yun Xueji also unconsciously looked at Yun'er a few more times. Lin Yun smiled. He watched them enter the Black Heaven Palace floating island. Even if he left, with the power of the Yin-Yang sacred sect, it was enough to establish itself. Not to mention the Divine Phoenix dynasty now. Moreover, the leaders of the righteous immortal sects had all been killed by him. They wouldn't dare to have other intentions for a while. Plus, they couldn't confirm where he was. After all, it was normal for cultivators to go into seclusion for decades, or even centuries. So Lin Yun was basically not very worried. Watching the holy sect disciples begin to retreat in an orderly manner, Lin Yun also felt a sense of emotion. He then turned directly and flew into the imperial palace. Time came to the third day. Yesterday, the new empress's enthronement ceremony had concluded. With the imperial dynasty's luck bestowed upon her, and the power of humanity granting its approval, Huang Shi officially became the new empress of the Divine Phoenix dynasty. She was also truly the empress with the strongest background in history. Some people said this was the sorrow of the Divine Phoenix dynasty, and that it would decline from now on. But others believed this was a new beginning, about to reach a new peak. However, for Huang Shi, this was a brand new life. In the bedchamber, Her Majesty the Empress was drenched in sweat. Strands of hair clung to her forehead. She suddenly looked up, staring at Yun'er with a look of disbelief. Are you really leaving? What? Lin Yun didn't hide anything and told Huang Shi about his plan to leave. After all, his arrangements required her cooperation and execution. Gently patting her back, Lin Yun's voice was calm. I have my own matters. I need to prepare for my ascension to the upper realm. Don't worry, you are my woman. I will come back for you. Lin Yun didn't mind her sweat and gently kissed her forehead. Also, please do one more thing for me. Give these jade slips to my master, senior sister, and junior sister. Lin Yun took out several jade slips and handed them to Huang Shi with solemnity. Huang Shi subconsciously took them. Only then did she realize that Lin Yun was not joking. Her eyes immediately reddened. Chapter 46. It's easy to say goodbye, but hard to meet again. New map opens. Gently wiping away the tears from Huang Shi's face, a complex emotion surged within Lin Yun. Plans, after all, could not keep up with changes. Originally, he should have been able to stay here for another 20 days or so. Many things could have been prepared. He could have even appeased his junior sister and senior sister first, giving them a status and hope. Lin Yun even thought with some sadness. If he didn't fare as well as he imagined in the immortal realm, then one day, when he finally became a big shot, when he returned to the lower realm to find his former beauties and confidants, would they have already turned into a pile of yellow earth? This possibility was not non-existent, but should be very small, right? They were all cultivators who stood almost at the peak of this world. Even his junior sister still had at least 10,000 years of lifespan. If such a situation really occurred, then he would have been too unaccomplished. Perhaps he was the most miserable one with the system. But Lin Yun always felt that. The system still had things hidden from him and hadn't fully exerted its power. Will you really come back? You won't abandon me, will you? I'll wait for you. In the imperial tomb, Huang Shi's face was filled with sorrow. Lin Yun was already standing on the ancient teleportation array. The token was ready. Next was Huang Shi's Empress mark. Yes, I'll definitely come back. You are my women, Lin Yun said with a serious expression, without any hint of joking. You will be my woman for this entire life. Do you hear me? Absolutely no involvement with anyone else. Lin Yun certainly didn't want to be cuckolded. These were the women he acknowledged, not those random ones. Hearing old Devil Lin speak so harshly, she was actually being doubted. A hint of anger appeared on Huang Shi's face. What are you saying? Am I that kind of person? Listen to me. I will be your woman for this entire life. And only your woman. Huang Shi's eyes were red. I know, of course I believe you. Lin Yun also saw that the atmosphere was too sad, which was why he deliberately said that. All right, there's no time, get ready. Oh, and don't forget to give those few jade slips to them. They will know what I mean and will treat you as one of their own. You can also trust them. If you encounter any difficulties, you can go find my master or senior sister. Lin Yun said somewhat ramblingly. Okay. Huang Shi wiped away her tears. Can't you just not leave? Lin Yun was silent for a while. He could actually stay a few more days. But he was afraid. Afraid that he wouldn't be able to part. That's why he left directly and decisively. The hardest to bear is the kindness of a beauty. After returning, facing his adorable junior sister, his aloof senior sister, and his cold and caring master, could he still be so heartless? Lin Yun didn't want to face that kind of scene. His heart was also made of flesh. So, it was better to be straightforward. He would just not meet them. Looking at the tear stains on Huang Shiner's face, Lin Yun felt his words stuck in his throat, unable to speak them. Actually, he was very unwilling to admit it, that he was a very emotional person. I have a reason why I must leave. Lin Yun said, hardening his heart. Be good, be obedient, I will miss you too. Lin Yun said softly. Women, once they give their all to you, almost the next day, they will pour out their hearts to you and fall deeply in love. Just like now. Before, she hated him to death, wishing she could bite Lin Yun to death. But now, she was reluctant to part. Seeing Lin Yun's resolute appearance, Huang Shi'er immediately knew that he had made up his mind. Then you must be careful outside, and don't go flirting again. You'll definitely be dishonest again. Huang Shi'er said coquettishly. Lin Yun touched his nose. I know, am I that kind of person? Old Devil Lin felt a little guilty. Huang Shi'er also knew that this man could not be kept. So she began to condense the Empress mark according to the records in the legacy. Rest assured, I will get along well with them. I will also help you look after them. Huang Shi'er's words had two meanings. She would both take care of them, or rather, they would take care of each other. And she would also keep an eye on them, to prevent any infidelity. Lin Yun understood. He nodded, as Huang Shi'er's Empress mark appeared. The teleportation array finally activated. Silently, a mysterious spatial fluctuation permeated the air. Huang Shi'er seemed to sense something. The tears she had held back for so long finally gushed out. We will all wait for you. You must come back soon. Lin Yun only had time to shout two words, wait for me. Then his voice disappeared. But he didn't notice that a rune on the teleportation array seemed to have developed a crack. Looking at the empty teleportation platform, Huang Shi'er also felt a hollowness in her heart. These past few days for her were more exciting than anything she had experienced in her life. She finally had a man. Or rather, she had a husband whom she loved. The two had already consummated their relationship, although the first time was considered him bullying her. But afterwards, she was the one who initiated it. But she didn't expect the separation to come so quickly. According to her imagination, Brother Yun was already invincible under heaven. He could take her traveling, and then live happily together with her sisters. She could also fly side by side with her husband. Wiping away her tears, Huang Shi'er silently looked at the teleportation platform for a while again. Then she ordered this place to be permanently sealed. She wanted to prepare to visit the Yin-Yang sacred sect, and then acknowledge her sisters, and give them the jade slips that Yun had left behind. As for Lin Yun, this was his first time experiencing such a long-distance inter-realm teleportation array. He felt a little dizzy and disoriented. Everything spun. He only felt that he couldn't see anything within his sight. Time seemed to slow down. Everything was blurry. Lin Yun could only try to close his eyes and perceive with his divine soul. The result was even more uncomfortable. Suddenly, he felt his eyes brighten, as if a huge white light flashed. It even made Lin Yun feel that his sea of consciousness was illuminated. Was he about to arrive? He was a little excited. Then, Lin Yun felt incredibly nauseous, disoriented, and he seemed to be thrown flying. What's going on? The teleportation channel couldn't have gone wrong, could it? It was that burst of white light, just now. Lin Yun subconsciously thought of that bright, small sun-like treasure light. The inter-realm teleportation was directly interrupted by some unknown influence. After Lin Yun was thrown out, he immediately fainted. This was an inter-realm teleportation. How powerful was the energy within it? Even Lin Yun couldn't quite withstand it. However, the situation didn't seem as bad as he imagined. Lin Yun's transmigration identity seemed to have played a role. The world's luck began to favor him. Lin Yun directly fell into a natural spatial prison. Outside the spatial barrier were endless spatial turbulences and blade storms. If Lin Yun had fallen outside, it was certain that he would have been torn to shreds in an instant. Not far from Lin Yun, there was an irregular crystal the size of a human head, faintly glowing. It seemed to be this thing that had just affected the spatial teleportation. Dense, almost solidified space law permeated the air. In this chaotic land, deep within the void realm, the overflowing energy from this space divine crystal had opened up this rock-solid island, and Lin Yun was trapped within it. His life or death unknown, unconscious. A new map is opening, and the new female lead, the white-haired girl, is about to make her appearance. Chapter 47. Seeing you in person, I regret not having you. Within the endless void realm, this is inside a dimensional space. It is an absolute forbidden zone for life. This is a domain that only true immortals can reach, and even they are extremely cautious. One wrong move, and they could be torn apart by spatial storm. The true rules of space, spatial divine abilities, and spells can already be called true immortal arts. It belongs to the domain of immortals. Even if Lin Yun is currently the strongest below an immortal, is still too dangerous for him. But fortunately, the goddess of luck still seemed to favor him. Here, time seemed to have become a mere symbol, losing all meaning. Meanwhile, in the Tianyuan realm, Huang Shi'er finally arrived at the Yin-Yang sacred sect openly. In fact, when they heard she was coming to visit, the women all had a bad premonition. The Empress Ancestral Master had not seen Lin Yun, that beast, for several days. She actually felt a little unaccustomed to it, although she was angered by him every day during those times. And he was even more excessive. But in these past few days, he had suddenly disappeared from her life. Ji Xiao felt a sense of loss. Actually, her spiritual perception was very strong, and she vaguely knew something, ever since Lin Yun disappeared from this world. But she dare not be certain. It wasn't until she saw Huang Shi'er arrive at the sacred sect alone to visit that she vaguely understood something. Of course, she still found it somewhat unbelievable. Following Lin Yun's instructions, Huang Shi'er found Yun Xueji, who held the highest status. When she heard that Yun'er had left this world, Yun Xueji's face was filled with disbelief. She immediately ordered Huang Shi'er to be apprehended. "You humble maid/slave girl, what have you done to Yun'er? Impossible! How could you possibly pose a threat to Yun'er? You must have used some trick. Quick, tell me, what exactly happened to Yun'er?" Yun Xueji's face was anxious. She knew this was a great secret that could not be known by outsiders. Otherwise, the sacred sect sky would collapse. There would be big problems. So she only informed Ling Shuangxue and Lu Sueki. The two women quickly rushed over upon hearing the news. They both immediately put down what they were doing without any delay. Soon, the four women gathered together. Following that, Ji Xiao also arrived uninvited. In the sacred sect, her status was somewhat special. She came and went as she pleased. This was something Lin Yun had specifically instructed. "Why are you here?" Yun Xueji looked at Ji Xiao somewhat cautiously. Did he leave? Ji Xiao had no interest in playing coy with these mortals. She asked directly. Upon hearing this, the women were all stunned. The junior sister immediately burst into tears. Large tears fell like a kite with a broken string. I knew it, senior brother, when you suddenly said those things to me." Lu Sueki recalled the somewhat inexplicable instructions from her senior brother when they parted. Now, thinking back, they were so fitting. Whoa. She was too foolish. She didn't understand the hidden meaning at the time. Otherwise, she would have clung to her senior brother no matter what. Ling Shuangxue was somewhat silent. It was as if she had suddenly turned into an ice sculpture. But her tightly clasped hands betrayed her. She bit her lip, and blood immediately seeped out. Then she suddenly looked at Huang Shi. What exactly happened? Sect Master Supreme Junior Brother is already invincible. Why would he suddenly leave? Ling Shuangxue voiced everyone's question. They didn't doubt the truthfulness, because such a thing couldn't be a joke. Huang Shi'er also began to sob. I don't know. This is what he asked me to give to you all. Saying this, Huang Shi'er took out several jade slips. This one is yours, this one is yours, and this one is also yours. Huang Shi'er remembered Lin Yun's instructions and didn't make a mistake. Each jade slip had a name carved on it. Following that, Huang Shi'er looked at Ji Xiao, who had been silent. Is this also his woman? She is so beautiful, like she walked out of painting. He said, if you also came, to give this to you as well. Saying this, Huang Shi'er took out another extra-large jade slip. It was as huge as a brick, capable of killing someone. This was the jade slip Lin Yun had once taken out for Ji Xiao to engrave cultivation techniques on. Ji Xiao had ridiculed him quite a bit for it. Ji Xiao's eyes flickered slightly, and she unconsciously frowned. But she still took it. She was quite curious. What would this damnable ant, derogatory term for Lin Yun, say to her? Was it a plea for mercy? And how did he escape? Was he that afraid of her? A hint of coldness appeared at the corner of Ji Xiao's mouth. She glanced at the women again, then turned and left directly. In the Sect Master Supreme's sleeping quarters, she came and went freely. Just as Lin Yun had guessed, she wouldn't take her anger out on these mortal women. Even if she lost her temper, the Empress Ancestral Master had her own pride. Yun Xueji looked at the character Shui carved on the jade slip, and tears immediately welled up. This handwriting was Yun'er's. Ling Shuangxue also recognized the Sect Master Supreme Junior Brother's handwriting. She knew that he hadn't lied. Junior Brother had truly left this world. She infused spiritual power. Lin Yun's voice sounded in her ear. Seeing this letter is like seeing me. My dear senior sister, I regret that I never truly possessed you. Following, there were some jumbled words. There was even some teasing. Ling Shuangxue listened and then laughed. Then, as she laughed, she cried. Hot tears slowly streamed down. Wait for me to return. As the voice faded, the jade slip became dim again. Ling Shuangxue clutched the jade slip tightly, as if holding the most important thing in the world. And the junior sister, Lu Sueki, was already wailing loudly. Yun Shueji stepped forward and hugged her youngest disciple. There, little Sweki. Your senior brother isn't not coming back. As Yun Shueji spoke, she herself began to cry. Master and disciple hugged each other. Yun Shueji, Ling Shuangxue, Lu Sweki. All three of their names contain the character Xue. These are the three most important people in Lin Yun's early life. They were the three names that ran through his entire life. And they were the women he recognized in his heart. The sound of sobbing never stopped. Soon, Huang Shi'er also joined the group. They were like pets abandoned by their owner, unable to find their way home. On the other side, Ji Xiao bit her lip. He was indeed still so damnable. He actually told her to bathe and wait for his return, and even said that one day he would make her willingly become his woman. Ji Xiao raised her hand, ready to smash the jade slip. But her raised hand paused. She still held back. She simply threw it aside. She couldn't even use her space ring now. So he ran, did he? But where could he possibly run to? With his talent, he was ultimately destined for immortal ascension. Even if he ate and drank every day without cultivating, it couldn't be stopped. At that time, I want to see, what ability do you have to escape from this Supreme's grasp? If I catch you, this shameless, lewd, despicable, and lowly ant, derogatory term for Lin Yun, I will make you wish you were dead. Ji Xiao tilted her head back, her eyes slightly closed. Her long eyelashes trembled slightly. Unbeknownst to her, 2 lines of clear tears flowed down. At this moment, her emotions were very complex. Chapter 48. Oh my God, it's the Space Divine Crystal. The news of Lin Yun's departure became the biggest secret of the Yin-Yang sacred sect. As the sect master supreme, who was the most popular and prestigious in the sacred sect, Lin Yun's disappearance did not cause much of a stir. Everyone assumed it was a normal period of closed-door cultivation. Anyway, before this, some of the daily affairs were already handled by Grand Elder Yun Shueji and Grand Elder Ling Shuangxue. And junior sister Lu Sweki seemed to have grown up overnight. She began to diligently cultivate. She also strived to be a role model for the younger generation, becoming a qualified saintess. She harbored a secret hope. That was, she also had to cultivate diligently. Even if senior brother never returned, she would still cultivate to immortal ascension, then go find him and ask him why he abandoned her. If that was the case, why did he pick her up in the first place? Meanwhile, the Divine Phoenix dynasty also became the most steadfast ally of the sacred sect. With mutual support, their foundation remained as solid as a rock. Any dissenting voices from before had long since been easily eliminated by Lin Yun. Then, one morning, Ji Xiao surprisingly found that her magical power had recovered ahead of schedule. She was so angry she almost laughed. That damn ant. He actually held back a trick even here. Indeed, this child must not be allowed to live. Damn scheming man, insidious scoundrel. A great liar deserving of 10,000 deaths. Ji Xiao added a few more charges to Lin Yun's list of crimes. Then, Ji Xiao took out her immortal artifact, the boundary-breaking stone. She was about to break through the boundary and leave directly. After returning to the immortal realm, she could completely unseal her cultivation. Then she would set up a net of heaven and earth, waiting for that man to ascend. Ji Xiao's figure paused as she looked at the familiar yet strange room. Here, she had shed too many tears and sweat, and also suffered too many humiliations. All of this was because of that man. For a moment, the female immortal king ancestral master was filled with mixed emotions. This was her starting point, and also her bridal chamber. After all, she had already lost the most important thing. In a sense, she had already become the wife of that damn man, although she was very reluctant to admit it. Ji Xiao touched her lower abdomen, frowning, hesitating whether or not to completely refine it. Immediately after, she also left a line of text. I have left, do not search for me. When he returns, I will return. Then her figure disappeared directly in a flash of white light. Returning to the immortal realm, she continued to be the supreme female immortal king. When a maid who came to deliver meals discovered her disappearance, the news reached Yun Shueji immediately. These maids were all her confidants, so the news was kept very secret. She then called Ling Shuangxue and Lu Sweki. The 3 women silently looked at the handwriting Ji Xiao left behind. What exactly is her identity? Yun Shueji suddenly asked. Lu Sweki and Ling Shuangxue both remained silent. In fact, they all had a guess in their hearts, but this guess was too terrifying. Perhaps the sect master supreme was even hiding from her. So, it was better not to speak this secret aloud. The 3 women exchanged glances, understanding each other's thoughts. After all, she really resembled that person too much. This could also explain why the sect master suddenly broke through so quickly. Isn't this a good thing? At least it proves that Yun'er is truly fine. He will come back. Yun Shueji suddenly said with a smile. Lu Sueki and senior sister exchanged glances, both silently nodding. Then I want to cultivate. Seeing junior sister like this, Ling Shuangxue felt a pang of heartache. Junior sister, will she be alright? She'll be fine. She's just having a hard time accepting it for a while. Her feelings for Yun'er run too deep. She's a girl who grew up following Yun'er since childhood. Now, her diligent cultivation is also a good thing, lest she fall behind later. Yun Shueji, on the other hand, was quite open-minded about it. Then I also need to cultivate diligently. Ling Shuangxue nodded. Otherwise, if Sect Master Senior Brother became an immortal, what would she do? Meanwhile, in the depths of the Void Realm, the endless spatial turbulence seemed to never cease. The spatial prison was like an isolated island, standing firm no matter how the spatial storm battered it. And within it, Lin Yun suddenly moved his fingers slightly. He finally woke up. The first thing he did upon waking was shout, "What the hell happened? It hurts so much." Lin Yun sat up, rubbing his head. Looking around, he was instantly dumbfounded. Where's this? Where the hell did I get myself into? Is this still within the world? What a ghost of a place. Lin Yun shivered. An inexplicable danger enveloped him. Looking at the countless blades of space outside, Lin Yun, of course, recognized these things. The sharpest attack in the world. Lin Yun stood up, finally understanding his current predicament. So all of this was caused by these things? Lin Yun got up and came before the large stone, examining it carefully. A guess gradually formed in his mind. Feeling the spatial fluctuations around him, Lin Yun suddenly let out a loud cry. Holy cow, such a huge spatial barrier. This must be a space divine crystal, right? No wonder it warped the teleportation channel directly, invisibly. But where am I now? How do I go back? Go back where? Where do I need to go? A series of questions popped into Lin Yun's head again. Lin Yun lay back down, feeling a bit deflated. He felt like giving up. Here, even time seemed to have stopped. No colors, no beautiful women, nothing interesting at all. Thinking of this, Lin Yun's heart suddenly stirred, and his consciousness connected to his space ring. He took out a gourd of fine wine and a few spirit stones. Looking at the top-grade spirit stones that suddenly appeared in his hand, Lin Yun finally breathed a sigh of relief. Otherwise, he would be slowly consumed and die here. After all, living required consumption. How could he manage without replenishment? However, as the Sect Master Supreme, and having plundered the leaders of those righteous immortal sects in Huang Lingtian, and having moved more than half of the Imperial Dynasty's treasury himself, Lin Yun's current collection was incredibly rich. It could support him in cultivating to the peak of the Ascension realm. This was his only plan for self-rescue at the moment. Moreover, Lin Yun looked at the huge space divine crystal. A bold idea vaguely formed in his mind. He could comprehend the space law. Although he hadn't become an immortal yet, he could still manage it somehow. By then, having mastered a portion of the space law, his hope of escaping should greatly increase. And he wouldn't get lost. He could choose a nearby world to directly break through into, then ascend to the immortal realm in that world. Although the process was somewhat dangerous. One wrong move, and he could get lost, then run out of options, directly exhausting his origin, and starve to death in the Void Realm. Or encounter a powerful spatial storm and be directly annihilated. However, it was better than waiting for death here, right? Lin Yun made up his mind. That was to cultivate diligently and then comprehend the space law. He had to firmly grasp these unique conditions. Speaking of which, to some extent, wasn't this his invincible immortal opportunity? Such a large space, divine crystal. Perhaps even the immortal realm didn't have one, and he didn't know how it was born. Yet he stumbled upon it. By then, he would also have a powerful trump card, and this thing was good at escaping. Shi Yao would have even less chance of catching him. The more Lin Yun thought about it, the more he felt this was his great opportunity. Chapter 49, Space Law is completed, Goddess of the Void. Time flew by. Cultivate knows no years. Lin Yun had long lost the concept of time. He only knew that the mountain of cultivation resources piled up in his storage ring was getting smaller and smaller, and his cultivation realm had unknowingly reached the Ascension realm middle stage. To put another way, given his thousand-fold aptitude, he didn't know how long it had been, but it must have been years. Although his cultivation had improved, Lin Yun felt no joy whatsoever. Because day after day, in this dreadful place, Lin Yun felt terrible. Loneliness was manageable. Old Devil Lin's state of mind wasn't that fragile, but the fear of the unknown was more tormenting to his soul. In fact, Lin Yun knew from the beginning. His plan was just a plan, but to what extent it could be implemented was always an unknown. For instance, whether he would be torn apart by a spatial storm as soon as he got out, or even worse, whether he would get lost and fail to find a world coordinates. These scenarios were all buried deep in Lin Yun's heart. Occasionally, when they surfaced, they would make Lin Yun feel annoyed. But he didn't dare to vent. If he were to break this spatial prison, Wouldn't he die innocently? His current understanding of that space divine crystal was still superficial. He hadn't yet reached the point where he could traverse the void realm currents. In the face of the great Tao of space law, even Lin Yun's thousandfold aptitude was somewhat insufficient. After all, for some immortal, their seclusion could last for hundreds or even thousands of years, and it mainly depended on whether you had the aptitude in that area. Otherwise, no matter how hard you tried, it would be in vain. Everyone had their unique cultivation aptitude. For example, the most common 5 elements attribute aptitude. More profound, mutated ones included ice, lightning, light and darkness, and even life and death destruction, and so on. As time slowly passed, Lin Yun began to doubt whether he lacked the aptitude to cultivate the power of space. But there was no better way. He could only sit in meditation in front of the space divine crystal, continuing the boring and monotonous cultivation. Fortunately, the cultivation resources in his space ring were sufficient. Otherwise, that would be true despair. Occasionally, when Lin Yun was sober, he would reminisce about his days as the sect master supreme of the sacred sect. He wondered how his junior sister was doing and if she was cultivating well. Was his senior sister still as cold as ever, only smiling at him? His master should still be as elegant and graceful as ever. Huang Shi'er must be a mature empress by now. Lin Yun drank fine wine. As he imagined, Empress ancestor Ji Xiao should have returned to the upper realm long ago. She probably still hated him to the core. Lin Yun took a big gulp of peach blossom wine and continued his seemingly endless cultivation. He didn't notice. His useless system, the words thousandfold aptitude on it, seemed to be faintly glowing again. Clearly, some mysterious transformation was taking place. Perhaps the system was too clever when it left. It didn't even leave a manual. Lin Yun suddenly felt his ears and eyes become clearer. He instantly understood some of the vague space law. This delighted Lin Yun. He immediately became full of vigor. Seizing this flash of epiphany, he wanted to press on with the advantage. He didn't even notice that his cultivation had unknowingly reached the late stage of the ascension realm. He was completely immersed in his comprehension of the space law. That space divine crystal, which was originally the size of a human head. Its volume was also continuously shrinking. Until it reached the size of a pigeon egg, Lin Yun's comprehension also began to slow down. Moreover, in the end, Lin Yun discovered that within the core of the divine crystal, there seemed to be countless spatial restrictions. Lin Yun was shocked to find that this seemed to be a complete legacy of space. Could it be that this wasn't naturally formed, but bait left by some powerful figure? Such a powerful figure shouldn't be dead yet, right? Perhaps he was still alive. It was also possible that this was the origin crystal of some mysterious void realm race, which he stumbled upon by accident. But Lin Yun couldn't bother with so much anymore. For now, he had to cultivate and ensure his own survival. Besides, he was already facing the crisis of being hunted by Empress Ancestor. One more wouldn't make a difference. In Lin Yun's perception, these spatial restrictions had countless permutations and combinations. They could form various powerful divine ability and spell of space. And almost all of them were at the immortal level. Some of them, even Lin Yun couldn't comprehend yet. They had already surpassed the imagination of his current realm. For example, directly traversing the endless void realm with his physical body, achieving free travel between various worlds, from one world to another. For Lin Yun, traversing within a world was already his limit. However, even if he couldn't use them now, he could first engrave them in his sea of consciousness. When his realm reached the appropriate level, he would naturally comprehend them. As the space divine crystal grew smaller and smaller, finally, it transformed into a white light, directly becoming a complex silver-white mark. It was imprinted on Lin Yun's forehead, as if it were some ancient contract. Lin Yun didn't even react, only feeling a warmth on his forehead. He quickly took out a mirror. Looking at his reflection, he hadn't tidied himself up for so many years, so he looked a bit sloppy. His beard was scruffy, but what was that silver mark on his forehead? Although it looked very handsome, was he being targeted by some other existence again? In the upper realm, a mysterious void realm secret realm. Amidst the spatial currents, a giant silver-white grand void holy dragon suddenly opened its eyes. After spreading its wings, its body was thousands of meters in size. But there was no bloated feeling at all. Its perfect streamlined shape, with shimmering silver-white light, instead appeared incredibly exquisite and full of beauty. Immediately after, a flash of white light appeared. The giant ancient dragon body actually transformed into a stunningly beautiful young girl. She had a graceful figure, wearing a purple dress whose skirt seemed to be covered with countless twinkling stars. Her features were delicate, so beautiful that they seemed somewhat unreal. But her pupils were a strange silver-white color. Within her eyes, countless spatial runes seemed to be flickering. The ancestral master's sacred divine crystal, lost long ago, has actually been refined. Who is it? How audacious! That is the sacred object of my Tai Su Sacred Dragon Clan. It contains the complete Great Tao of space law. It was the life crystal formed by the strongest old ancestor after he was besieged and killed by numerous powerful enemies tens of thousands of years ago. It was the most precious legacy, but due to the inherent space law attribute within it, coupled with the fierce battle at the time, which generated countless spatial currents, so it directly fell into an unknown layer of the Void Realm. Their Tai Su Sacred Dragon Clan had searched for countless years without finding any clues. She didn't expect to sense it now. No matter where you are, no matter who you are, I will find you. The current clan chief of the Tai Su Sacred Dragon Clan, the most mysterious Void Realm goddess of the Upper Realm, Gu Qinxing, murmured to herself. Lin Yun, at this moment, was still unaware that he had unknowingly provoked an incredibly powerful ancient clan. Although their population was not flourishing now, every single one of them was a powerful immortal king or above. Clan chief Gu Qinxing was an unfathomably powerful immortal venerable. Lin Yun was currently still immersed in the self-satisfaction of comprehending the space law. Next, he could finally escape from this predicament. Chapter 50. Lost in Space, Finding a Way Out of Despair. Inside the Void Realm prison, Lin Yun paced back and forth, somewhat excited. But he had not made a decision for a long time. Should he leave immediately, or should he rest a bit longer? Lin Yun stopped, crossed his arms, and stroked his chin. It was then that he suddenly realized his cultivation realm had unknowingly reached the late stage of ascension. With a little more preparation, he could almost directly achieve immortal ascension. Lin Yun felt a surge of emotion. How many years had he cultivated here? He wondered what the outside world was like. He glanced at his space ring again. Most of the cultivation resources inside were almost used up. However, there was still a small pile of spirit stones. It should be enough for his normal expenses going forward. If not, he could always sell some other items. As long as he returned to a normal material world, it would be fine. With his heaven-reaching cultivation, going to any of the 3,000 lower realms would place him at the top tier. If he happened to go to an amazing world, he might not be unrivaled, but he would be second to none. Then, his life would surely be comfortable and fulfilling. As for the mark on his forehead, Lin Yun had also studied it carefully, and it didn't seem to affect him. It looked quite good, actually with a sense of coolness. But at a closer look, it seemed a bit like a dragon shape. However, none of that mattered anymore. That space divine crystal had already been completely refined by him. If the original owner wanted it back, he couldn't return it, unless they took him, person and all, and worshipped him like an ancestor. He once again checked all the magic treasures that might be useful, mainly those of a defensive nature. Lin Yun also familiarized himself with his space divine ability. After all, once he exposed himself and appeared outside, he would have to face the Void Realm turbulence directly. There might even be space rifts. These things could be strong or weak. Their specific power was truly hard to predict. Therefore, no amount of caution was too much. Lin Yun didn't want to die here inexplicably. No one would likely discover him for tens of thousands of years. Just like the space divine crystal from before. Looking at the turbulent Void Realm outside, Lin Yun took a deep breath. His magic power circulated. Here, other divine abilities were basically useless. Only the space law could be used. As Lin Yun went all out, the divine mark on his forehead suddenly slowly emerged. It flickered slightly. Lin Yun suddenly felt his power of space seem to be boosted. It was boosted by at least 50%. Was this the effect of that mysterious mark? Lin Yun was delighted but also worried. Could he bear such a powerful legacy? But that was a matter for later. First, he had to overcome the current challenge. He glanced again at this space prison, which was actually a small secret chamber. The reason Lin Yun was anxious to leave was because he found that with the disappearance of the space divine crystal, this secret chamber also seemed to be becoming increasingly unstable. It could suddenly collapse at any time. If he was caught off guard, he feared it would be even more dangerous. He was not the kind of person to sit idly by and wait for death. So, naturally, he had to take the initiative. Profound space law fluctuations spread out, as if enveloping Lin Yun in an invisible spatial shield. Lin Yun needed to go out and then sense the spatial coordinates. Although it was safe here, it also isolated Lin Yun's senses. If he was lucky, he could find a nearby great world sooner. Then he could leave. It was also possible that he was unlucky and never found a suitable world. He could even be depleted to death. So Lin Yun was still a bit nervous. He hoped the goddess of luck would continue to favor him. Squinting slightly, Lin Yun looked at the chaotic void realm outside. He felt a sense of helplessness, like being alone facing an endless ocean. However, he had to take this step. Otherwise, the hope of survival was slim. Lin Yun looked back again. This should be considered his brand new starting point. But with his departure, it should also disappear very soon. Lin Yun took a deep breath, putting away these lingering feelings of loss. Wrapped in the power of space, he reached out and touched the spatial barrier. He passed through it with ease, feeling the speed at which the chaotic spatial turbulence outside was eroding his shield. Lin Yun was also calculating the consumption in his mind. Based on this level of normal wear and tear, plus occasional unexpected situations and dodging dangers, and also needing to retain 30% of his reserve, he should be able to last for about 30 days. Not too much, not too little. It all depended on his luck. After calculating clearly, Lin Yun no longer hesitated and stepped out directly. This step was towards the sea of stars, towards an unrivaled legend. It was the glorious path of immortality. Lin Yun looked back again. He moved forward without hesitation towards the unknown. His figure was instantly obscured by countless spatial turbulences. If it weren't for the power of space acting as a shield, Lin Yun couldn't even imagine. Even with all his means, he probably wouldn't last for even a quarter of an hour before being torn to shreds. Lin Yun relied on his intuition. He quickly moved in one direction, while releasing his spatial perception to search for spatial coordinate nodes. This was a method he obtained from the space divine crystal. His spatial perception, like a spiderweb and tendrils, instantly spread for countless tens of thousands of miles. This was his maximum perception range. Within this range, if he were in the outside world, he could move freely, which was the legendary instantaneous movement. But here, it was just a drop in the bucket. As time passed, Lin Yun's heart slowly began to sink. He had found nothing. However, his energy had already been consumed by more than half. If this continued, he would reach a very dangerous critical point. Lin Yun felt his heart accelerating. He hadn't breathed fresh air in a long time. He longed to go outside and experience the beauty of nature. This situation definitely couldn't continue. Lin Yun carefully recalled the space legacy he had received. He had a guess in his mind. Perhaps this area he was in was a desolate void. So he only had a chance to reach a void realm with a civilized world if he left here. Therefore, Lin Yun quickly made a decision. He directly used 1/10 of his power to activate a spatial leap. His figure instantly disappeared from its original spot. This was a huge gamble, and it was Lin Yun's only chance. Arriving in a new void realm, Lin Yun eagerly released his perception. Then his expression changed. Still nothing. But this was also expected. It couldn't be that coincidental. So, keep moving forward. Lin Yun fixed on a direction, his spatial perception at full power. He didn't know how much time had passed. Lin Yun's reserve magic power had already dropped to a critical point. Suddenly, his somewhat tattered figure paused. Immediately after, his face showed extreme joy. Found it! A massive living world. Lin Yun's perceptive tendrils firmly grasped that spatial coordinate. He unhesitatingly used all of his remaining magic power, no longer being meticulous. As long as he found that weak point, he would just charge straight ahead. Great effort yields miracles. Cleansing, what follows is not a recultivation, nor becoming immortal. He will regain peak cultivation and achieve immortal ascension in a few chapters, during which he will also take several female leads. With the male lead's cultivation, he will be unrivaled upon arriving in another world, so there is no recultivation. There are many foreshadowing and plot devices, so skipping chapters is not recommended. Everyone in this world will ascend to the immortal realm. Chapter 51. Escaped and was saved by an ignorant girl. Within Lin Yun's consciousness, the distant world was massive. Like a glowing light bulb, it resembled a firefly in the deep night. It should also be a high-rank cultivation world. This was what best suited his needs. Of course, it was uncertain whether there would be any strange and powerful races inside, or forces that posed a threat to him. But he had no other choice now. His remaining power was only enough to find this one lifeline. In fact, Lin Yun also knew that he was simply too weak. If he were a little stronger, he would need a search. A casual punch would be enough to break through the barrier between the void realm and reality. But he was clearly still far from that level. According to records, the most powerful beings could even directly fold infinite space. Like a piece of paper, it looks very large when viewed flat. But what if it's folded? Each fold infinitely shrinks it. To those who have mastered this great Tao of space, the entire void realm is nothing more than a toy. That was also a distant dream for Lin Yun. As he got closer and closer, Lin Yun seemed to have already sensed the existence of the world's barrier. But Lin Yun did not relax in the slightest. Breaking through a world's barrier was also a very dangerous thing, especially for him, traversing from a deep-level dimensional void realm. Strictly speaking, Lin Yun was now equivalent to being in another inner world, and not in the real material world. Therefore, the price to pay increased exponentially. Lin Yun's spirit was highly tense, and all his power was mobilized. Even various magic treasures were directly and unceremoniously brought out to resist the dangers of the world barrier itself that he might face next. Various nine heavens, storm divine, thunder, and the like would definitely pour down. The repulsion of space itself was also fatal. But having reached this point, Lin Yun did not believe he would fail. He was ruthless to others, but even more ruthless to himself. Tianqian Realm, 10,000 Demon Mountain Range. This was the largest mountain range in the Tianqian Realm. It occupied a full 1/7 of the entire world, because this was the territory of the Yao race. Of course, it was not an absolute forbidden zone for humans, especially for many powerful cultivators. This was also a huge treasure trove, possessing countless heaven and earth treasures. Even many Yao beasts were precious materials, and the Yao race and human race generally lived in peace, because the Yao race also had the restraint of the Yao Emperor. The Yao Emperor did not wish, nor did he have the strength, to directly go to war with the human race. This was a powerful cultivation world, not at all weaker than the Tianyuan realm where Lin Yun was before. In fact, in some respects, it was even more exciting. This was the outer perimeter of the 10,000 Demon Mountain Range. At this moment, a caravan was traveling along the winding ancient road within it. There were several carriages in the team. Most of them were loaded with goods, covered by black cloth. They were guarded by attendants with sabers and weapons. Clearly, the items inside were quite precious. In the very center of the team, there was a luxurious carriage, like a moving small house. Inside the carriage, white fur carpets were laid out. They were made from the fur of Yao beasts produced in the 10,000 Demon Mountain Range. The carriage was very stable, without the slightest bump. Clearly, some ingenious technology or formation was used to maintain stability. Inside the carriage, there seemed to be a faint scent of medicinal pill. On a soft couch sat a young girl who looked about 15 or 16. Of course, in this world, her true age was certainly far more than that. She was Yao Shishir. She was the #1 genius of Medicine King City, the Yao family. She was already a rank 6 alchemist. Alchemists also had another name, which was Pill Cultivator. Comparing it to cultivation realms, it was equivalent to the Heavenly Manifestation realm. Although her combat power was not strong, she was far rarer than cultivators of the same realm, and they were all honored guests of the major immortal sects and noble families. And a rank 7 alchemist was actually a watershed. The medicinal pills they refined even had tribulation patterns. If one reached rank 8, that would be a saint alchemist. And rank 9 would be a status almost on par with the void-breaking Ascension realm. But in the entire Tianqian realm, there were only 2 such alchemists. They were the medicine emperors, respected by the entire world. Even the Yao race was respectful and dared not cause trouble. After all, if their Yao race wanted to perfectly shapeshift, there was also a shortcut, which was the shape-shifting pill. The higher the rank of the shape-shifting pill, the better the effect. Although their Yao race's inner core was also the best medicinal material in the eyes of many alchemists. But because of the existence of the shape-shifting pill, the Yao race also tacitly approved of this mutually beneficial relationship. And Yao Shishir, the genius alchemist of the Yao family, naturally reached a deal with the Yao race when she came to the 10,000 Demon Mountain Range this time. She purchased many precious medicinal materials. Many of these precious materials were too fragile and could not even be stored in a storage ring. So, they could only be transported in this primitive way. With this batch of medicinal materials, Yao Shishir was confident in completing the rank 7 alchemist assessment. By then, let's see which shameless ones still dare to propose marriage to her family. They don't even look in a mirror. How could they be worthy of the beautiful Shishir, the little heavenly immortal? Just then, the numerous spirit horses suddenly stopped, sensing an instinctive danger. They let out uneasy neighs. What's wrong? What's wrong? What happened? A middle-aged man who looked like a leader quickly ran over from the back to inquire about the situation. I don't know. Look quickly. It seems like someone is lying under the tree ahead. Is that a person? Indeed, the one lying under the tree was Lin Yun, the dignified sect master supreme in the late stage of the Ascension realm. Now looked like a tattered beggar, because he had exhausted all his cultivation. Even his entire body's meridians had cracks. His sea of consciousness was almost dry. It could be said that he was truly at the end of his rope. And the reason he appeared here was also because he had exhausted his last bit of strength. He had directly crashed down from the sky. He didn't know how many bones in his body were broken. He also directly smashed a large pit like a meteorite. But Lin Yun knew that if he stayed at the bottom of the pit, it would definitely attract people to investigate. Then he would be in danger. He was afraid he would be directly captured and dissected or something. He might even die without knowing why. Then he might become the most unjustly deceased Ascension realm cultivator in history. So Lin Yun used his last bit of magic power to activate a random range spatial teleportation. This also directly broke his already overburdened meridians, becoming the last straw that broke the camel's back. Lin Yun immediately fainted. His current body was no different from a mortal, even more fragile and unbearable, as if a touch would shatter him. And with Lin Yun's unconsciousness, his broken body finally seemed to attract the system's attention, ready to save the dying and help the injured. Or rather, it activated something. The golden words, thousand-fold talent, directly changed into the virtualized words, innate chaos divine body. It turned out that there was no such thing as thousand-fold talent. It was just an invincible cultivation physique, the only innate chaos divine body in all the heavens and myriad realms. Was born today. The male lead will become invincible very, very soon, don't worry. Chapter 52 Chaos Divine Body Awakening. The white-haired lowly saved me due to Lin Yun's presence. The numerous spirit horses, bought at great expense, refused to move forward. As beasts, their perception of danger was far stronger than that of humans. Although Lin Yun was just an ordinary mortal at this moment, the aura he emitted still made the instinctively sharp spirit horses unwilling to proceed. No amount of soothing worked. He must be dead, right? Could he have some kind of plague? He doesn't necessarily look dead, but he's definitely severely injured. Listening to his subordinates' various speculations, the captain was somewhat speechless. Use your pig brains to think. Can someone who appears alone in the 10,000 Demon Mountain range be an ordinary person? Everyone, come and lend a hand. Let's check the situation. The captain called out and went ahead alone to investigate the situation. Soon, Yao Shishir was also alerted. She curiously lifted the curtain and stepped out. What happened? A clear voice, like an oriole, rang out. Her appearance was accompanied by a strange medicinal fragrance, as if it had a calming and soothing effect. Even the restless spirit horses quieted down. Reporting to Seventh Miss, a dead person appeared ahead, which startled the spirit horses. Yao Shishir was the seventh child in her family. Hence she was called Seventh Miss. She was exceptionally beautiful, kind by nature, and possessed outstanding talent. The Yao family was also a renowned noble family/clan within a million-mile radius, and an alchemist noble family/clan. Yao Shishir could be said to be a famous genius girl far and wide. Matchmakers seeking marriage daily almost wore out the Yao family's doorstep. But Yao Shishir felt she was still a child. Why would she be in a hurry to marry? Moreover, her heart was solely dedicated to the path of alchemy. Naturally, she never showed a pleasant expression. This time, she also took the opportunity to search for medicinal ingredients and came out to relax. However, the Yao family, of course, wouldn't be at ease, so they dispatched a team of guards. Their cultivation realm wasn't particularly high, mostly around the core formation realm, but it was sufficient to deal with bandits and Yao beasts on the periphery. Furthermore, as an alchemist noble family/clan, the Yao family usually had no enmities. A dead person? Surprise appeared on Yao Shishir's face. How could there be a dead person here? Within a day and night, they would be completely eaten by termite beasts or similar creatures, wouldn't they? This was the 10,000 Demon Mountain range, after all, a place where countless Yao beasts thrived and multiplied. Let me see, as a pure and kind alchemist. Yao Shishir's instinct to save lives and heal injuries made it impossible for her to stand idly by. Seventh Miss, he seems to still be alive. The captain, who had gone to investigate earlier, said this as he looked at Lin Yun's slightly rising and falling chest. However, his injuries are too severe. I don't think he's an ordinary person. Otherwise, he would have died long ago. He might have encountered a pack of Yao beasts or something similar. He's truly a man to have persevered until now, the captain said with some admiration. A preliminary glance at Lin Yun's injuries made him feel startled. He didn't know how many bones were broken. His chi was as faint as a wisp of smoke, incredibly weak. His cultivation realm was also indiscernible. It was unknown if he could even recover. To still be alive with such injuries was already a miracle. Don't move him. I'll take a look. Yao Shishir quickly stopped the guards who were about to move Lin Yun. She took a step forward, bringing a medicinal fragrance with her, and arrived in front of Lin Yun. The guards quickly retreated. They also didn't dare to look at Seventh Miss too much. She was truly too beautiful. It made people feel ashamed of themselves. Yao Shishir didn't mind her skirt falling onto the dirty mud. She squatted down. She carefully examined Lin Yun. At first glance, he appeared to be a young man, around 20 years old. Although he looked ragged and even unshaven, based on his facial features, he should be quite handsome. As the saying goes, observe, listen, question, and feel the pulse. Yao Shishir's eyesight was naturally excellent. The material of his clothes was also very special. It was woven from some fine silk. When undamaged, it might even have been a magic robe. But now, its spiritual essence was completely lost. Moreover, all his limbs seemed to be fractured. His ribs and sternum were also mostly broken. Looking at his slightly rising and falling chest, Yao Shirshir couldn't help but be moved by his tenacious vitality. Of course, she didn't know that this was the physical body of an Ascension Realm cultivator. Even if he were left here unattended, Lin Yun would wake up after some time. No wild beasts would dare approach his aura. Of course, it would be even better if he could be discovered and rescued by someone, especially if the one who saved him was a beautiful, white-haired young miss. Yao Shirshir cautiously released a few wisps of spiritual power, sensing the situation within Lin Yun's body. But what puzzled her was that, although his meridians were essentially severed, she couldn't detect any useful information. Whenever she tried to go further, she would be blocked by a hidden energy. Was it because his cultivation technique was special? Yao Shirshir speculated. This situation was also common. Some noble family/clan or sects would exhibit this phenomenon to keep the secrets of their cultivation technique legacy. Looking at Lin Yun's profile, Yao Shirshir suddenly had a peculiar feeling. The more she looked, the more familiar he felt. She just felt that she absolutely had to take him home. She didn't know that this was actually the chaos divine body spontaneously awakening. As the first divine body of chaos, innately possessing all attributes, capable of cultivating all laws, and the source of all rules, it naturally made those who came into close contact with him feel a sense of familiarity. Her magical power touched Lin Yun, and in an instant it was affected. Bring him to my carriage. I'll try to save him. Yao Shirshir personally directed the guards to carefully move Lin Yun. This was old Devil Lin, like a puddle of mud. It was also old Devil Lin at his most fragile and pitiful state in his entire life. Yao Shirshir disregarded the guard captain's objections and directly moved Lin Yun into her fragrant carriage. Inside, there was even a bathroom and 2 maidservants. They were her personal maids. All right, let's continue forward. The guard captain was also somewhat helpless. You, a young miss from a noble family/clan, a pure maiden. What kind of business is it to bring a strange man into your own carriage? Of course, you're an alchemist, so it's still somewhat justifiable. Inside the carriage, Yao Shirshir looked at the ragged Lin Yun, and her face couldn't help but flush. You too. Come help me change his clothes. Be gentle. The 2 maidservants also had red ears. After all, although Lin Yun was severely injured, the invisible prestige and masculine chi about him still possessed great male charm. At the final stage, Yao Shirshir was a bit afraid to look, but there was no other way. With the cooperation of the 2 maidservants, they also wiped Lin Yun's body clean. Then, they changed him into a set of clean clothes. These were ordinary men's clothes obtained from the guards. She also had the maidservants carefully shave Lin Yun's beard. The 3 of them were exhausted and dripping with sweat, but looking at the now refreshed Lin Yun, all 3 were stunned. One maidservant covered her mouth. Only one thought remained in her mind. He is so handsome. Yao Shirshir also couldn't help but be momentarily stunned. Lin Yun, who had long held a high position and possessed invincible cultivation realm, naturally exuded an aura that made her eyes sparkle continuously. As for Lin Yun, his main soul consciousness was still in a deep slumber. However, his spiritual perception was still active, but he didn't sense any danger. Coupled with the chaos divine body slowly awakening, this process might be very long, so he slept very soundly, very peacefully. Chapter 53 Miss, come and see he moved 10,000 Demon Mountain Range on an ancient path within the forest. The treasure artifact carriage was traveling very smoothly. Inside the spacious interior, the inner compartment was originally a place for servant girls to reside. Now, it was occupied by Lin Yun. After the curtain was drawn, Yao Shirshir could directly see Lin Yun's condition. Unknowingly, it had already been 3 days. However, this mysterious person showed no signs of waking up. Yao Shirshir looked at Lin Yun's face. She was lost in thought. These days, she would wipe Lin Yun's body daily, because Lin Yun needed a medicinal bath every day to help restore the injuries to Lin Yun's physical body. And it did have some effect, surprisingly. It accelerated the self-healing process of Lin Yun's injuries. Of course, with old Devil Lin's physical body, ordinary spirit medicine certainly wouldn't play a decisive role. So, he still had to rely on himself. But first, he had to wake up. Therefore, to Lin Yun, Yao Shirshir, while not a life-saving grace, it was still a great kindness. After all, in his previous beggar-like state, given Yao Shirshir's status and position, and being so young and beautiful, her willingness to take him in and treat him, one could imagine how kind she was. Moreover, the medicine currently used for Lin Yun was the best she could offer. But each medicinal bath, the medicinal properties would be completely absorbed by Lin Yun. This was enough to show how severe his physical body's injuries were now, or rather, how thirsty it was. Actually, the most crucial point was that Lin Yun's physical body was in ruins. The situation was critical, directly activating the Chaos Divine Body ahead of time. Originally, this was an invincible path that would naturally awaken after Lin Yun's physical body underwent a transformation upon immortal ascension. So, Lin Yun's most awkward situation was right here. His physical body was extremely thirsty for energy, leading to his divine soul's slumber. If he could wake up, things would be much simpler. After all, although most of the spirit stones in his space ring were depleted, there were still some scattered ones, and there was still a large pile of various heaven and earth treasures. If Yao Sure, this little girl, term of endearment, saw the various medicinal ingredients Lin Yun had collected over the years, she would probably faint from happiness. Yao Sure propped her chin. She gazed at Lin Yun blankly. These 3 days, she hadn't meditated. She had been taking care of Lin Yun, this vegetable person. Even her 2 personal maids felt it was somewhat unbelievable, especially that she would even wipe his body. Such a thing. The 7th Miss was still an unmarried maiden. If such a matter were to spread, how could she ever marry? This world, compared to the world Lin Yun once inhabited, seemed to have a stronger secular power. Many formalities were also more complex. The boundary between cultivators and ordinary people seemed a bit blurred. Various cultivation families were like a sky full of stars. The high and mighty sects didn't seem as unattainable. Thus, many secular etiquettes were also passed down, coupled with the threat of the Yao race and the rampant evil cultivators. So, the human race internally was also more united. Therefore, proposals of marriage were also common occurrences. Who exactly was he? This question always lingered in Yao Shure's heart. After her careful observation, she was already certain in her heart that this was definitely not an ordinary person. He was a cultivator, and perhaps a very powerful cultivator. Otherwise, he wouldn't have sustained such severe injuries. And the storage ring on his hand was also very advanced. Looking at the almost transparent storage ring on Lin Yun's ring finger, Yao Sure only discovered it when she was wiping Lin Yun's arm. When will you wake up? In another 10-odd days of travel, we'll be home. If you're still like this, I'll have to place you outside. Otherwise, Grandpa won't let me bring a disabled person of unknown identity into the family. Although in my eyes, you are just a patient who needs help. Time came to the 5th day. Yao Sure was murmuring to Lin Yun again. She didn't notice that Lin Yun's fingers seemed to move slightly, extremely subtle, and in Lin Yun's sea of consciousness. Above the spiritual platform, Lin Yun's divine soul, at a certain moment, suddenly opened his eyes. Lin Yun's eyes were somewhat dazed. Immediately, memories surged like a tide. Damn it, I'm finally back. This world. Then Lin Yun froze. I've become a vegetable person now. Lin Yun looked at his palm with some disbelief. He could now perceive the outside world. He even had sensation. However, his physical body still couldn't wake up, couldn't move, because the energy required for his physical body to restart was too immense. Moreover, there was currently the Chaos Divine Body competing for the origin power, leading to the depletion of the physical body's origin. Simply put, Lin Yun was now out of power. He was kidney deficient. Lin Yun was silent for a while, as if he suddenly remembered something. Did that chattering little girl, term of endearment, outside save him? Judging by the voice, she shouldn't be very old. Also, this scent, it's very fragrant, and it carried a medicinal smell. So, is she a young and beautiful little medical immortal? Lin Yun subconsciously thought. All right, even if she wasn't young and beautiful, even if she was a country bumpkin, Lin Yun would accept it, and he would owe her a favor. At that time, he would definitely give her an immense good fortune. This was equivalent to a life-saving grace. A great cultivator like Lin Yun valued karma the most, especially after reaching the ascension realm. To achieve ascension, one must be unburdened. If entangled by karma and karmic obstruction, the power of the heavenly tribulation would multiply. Feeling an unprecedented weakness, Lin Yun fell into deep thought. What was the situation? 7th Miss, his eyebrow seems to have moved. The maid named Xiaolu exclaimed with some surprise. Oh, really? Yao Sure put down the medical book in her hand and quickly ran over to check. Really, his eyebrow just moved a little. Xiaoqing also quickly said. Yao Sure leaned closer, carefully looking at Lin Yun's token. Her breath was almost hitting Lin Yun's face, making Lin Yun, who was meditating on the spiritual platform, raise his head. This rich, medicinal-scented aura. What was she doing? All right, I seem to have forgotten something. Lin Yun then remembered that he seemed to have forgotten to check on that idiotic system. Then he glanced at it. Lin Yun crossed his arms and fell into contemplation again. The thousand-fold talent from before had now become the Chaos Divine Body. Was this the reason for his weakness? The side effect of forcibly transforming without sufficient cultivation realm. As a transmigrator, Lin Yun had heard a little about this legendary physique. He didn't expect it to actually happen to him. It seemed he had misunderstood the system before. This invincible divine body was basically a ready-made, invincible Tao, although the Tao was winding. But there was a Tao to walk after all. What did cultivators fear most? They feared not seeing the Tao ahead, and then exhausting their lifespan. Chapter 54. I have no way to repay you, so I can only give you my body. Chaos divine body. Legends say it possesses all innate attributes. Immune to all poisons, unafraid of water or fire. Moreover, its cultivation talent and spiritual root are terrifyingly strong. Whatever it wishes to cultivate, it can quickly reach major achievement. And what's most terrifying is its affinity. As a direct child of chaos, any treasure or heavenly spiritual root, etc., would prioritize choosing a child of chaos as its master. And in some respects, its luck with women would also be terrifyingly good, because this charm is all-encompassing. Just like Yao Shirshir now, the more outstanding a person's talent, to some extent, the more they align with the innate Tao. That's why they can perceive rules and spiritual qi more clearly. So, they would instinctively be closer to chaos. Of course, if someone harbored hostility towards Lin Yun, not only would they not feel this affinity, but they might even suffer great misfortune. It's hard to say if this relationship was why the former Empress ancestral master forgave him time and time again, although he hadn't fully awakened before. As an Empress immortal king, Ji Xiao's spiritual senses were incredibly sharp. She might have been unknowingly influenced. What a thousand-fold talent! What a chaos divine body! Lin Yun murmured to himself. It should be called a bastard divine body. This physique is too much of a bastard. What's the use if he can't wake up? Moreover, at the current rate of awakening, he's afraid it will take 1,000 years to wake up. By then, it will be too late. He must stimulate his physical body to awaken. Even if only for a moment, he could take out some treasures or medicinal pills to nourish his physical body. With a source of power, he wouldn't be drained dry then, although he still might not be able to move. At least he wouldn't be lying there like a living dead person. What to do? Lin Yun fell into contemplation again, but after much thought, he was currently only in a divine soul state, and sealed within his sea of consciousness. There was no way for him to get out. His physical body was already at its weakest. Even if he had a trace of power, he could think of a way. So the problem now returned to the starting point, forming a closed loop. He fell into slumber because he had no power. Because he fell into slumber, he had no power. What to do? Old Devil Lin pulled at his hair, somewhat frantic. Meanwhile, outside, Yao Shirshir suddenly noticed that he seemed to frown again. Hey, he seems to really be moving. Yao Shirshir's face was filled with joy. But why was he frowning? Was it because of pain? Or was he uncomfortable? Yao Shirshir tilted her head and thought. She currently had no good way to deal with the situation inside his physical body. If he was a little uncomfortable, then he should take a bath. Thinking of this, Yao Shirshir's heart stirred. It seemed it was time for the daily medicinal bath again. Then today, let's do it 2 hours earlier. Go prepare hot water. Still use yesterday's herbal packets, Yao Shirshir instructed. Okay, we'll go now. The two maidservants, Xiao Lu and Xiao Qing, quickly went to arrange it. Soon, a steaming hot bathtub was ready. They had become quite familiar with this over the past few days. The most difficult part was actually the next step. They had to move Lin Yun into the bathtub. Although Lin Yun's physical body currently had no magical power, it was still incredibly heavy. The three young girls, without using their cultivation, still found it a bit strenuous. But they were afraid of accidentally hurting him if they used their cultivation without proper control. So, basically, the three girls worked together to complete this step. Of course, they also carried Lin Yun directly with their clothes on. Asking them to remove Lin Yun's robes outside was too much of a challenge for them. Lin Yun suddenly felt something. The expression on his face became a little strange. Then it became incredibly vivid. Is she giving him a bath? Oh my goodness. What's going on? He's getting this kind of treatment? Why is she so good to him? Old Devil Lin was touched. This time he was truly touched. When he wakes up and recovers his cultivation, he will definitely swear to be the best in the world to her. anyone who dares to harm her. He would exterminate their 10 clans. Moreover, Lin Yun's current feeling was also very strange. He could feel some changes and sensory perceptions in his physical body, like the water temperature. For example, the soft, white palm gently stroking his body. That tingling, numb sensation made Lin Yun's divine soul tremble. It's here, this is the feeling. Make the stimulation stronger. He might wake up. Divine Doctor, Divine Doctor. Lin Yun was excited, but soon he was a little disappointed. The stimulation was still not enough. His physical body still hadn't awakened. What to do? But after this experience, hope also emerged in Lin Yun's heart. A few more times, and it might just work. However, immediately after, Lin Yun's expression changed drastically, becoming incredibly vivid. It wasn't over yet. Yao Shishir watched as all the medicinal properties in the medicinal bath were absorbed completely. The dark hot water had become clear again. You two go and carry him out. At Yao Shishir's command, the two maidservants entered the bathtub together, and together they lifted Lin Yun. Their gauze skirts were soaked, and with the moment they touched the water, clinging tightly to their bodies. Then they extended their fair arms, supporting Lin Yun on either side. They no longer cared about the impropriety of men and women touching. Anyway, he hadn't woken up. Under the steaming heat, Xiaolu and Xiaoqing's faces were a little red. Being able to follow Seventh Miss, they were naturally also peerless beauties, one in a million. Their looks, if not absolutely stunning, were at least exquisitely beautiful. Their figures were also excellent. Lin Yun, in his divine soul state, couldn't help but flicker a little. If he could, he felt he would definitely be excited right now. The sensation brought by the water temperature. A wonderful experience. Lin Yun carefully felt it. All right, leave him to me. You two go tidy up the bathroom. He heard that familiar, crisp, girlish voice sound. Then, he felt himself fall into another embrace. He seemed to be carried directly by her. Lin Yun never thought he would ever be princess carried. She was so warm, so gentle. Lin Yun was so moved, he was almost in tears. At his weakest moment, he met little medical immortal. Is this fate? But what shocked Lin Yun was yet to come, because his wet clothes were still on. What to do? Of course, change clothes. The question came, who would change them for him? Little medical immortal. And before changing clothes, wipe his body. Lin Yun felt his soaked clothes being removed. He was actually stunned. Lin Yun had forgotten how long it had been since he felt such emotions. Over the years, he had killed countless people, his heart as hard as iron. So, is she really a fairy descended from heaven? Why would she be so kind to a stranger like him? How would he ever repay her in the future? Aside from offering himself in marriage, Lin Yun couldn't think of a better way. He would absolutely not allow her to be bullied by anyone. Not even by himself. Chapter 55 exciting. Wake up, I want to sit in a wheelchair. Inside the carriage, a faint scent of medicinal herbs permeated the air. But now, it seemed an enchanting atmosphere had been added. Although this action had been repeated many times, Yao Shishir was still a little shy. After all, she had not yet married, and she had no sweetheart. Actually, she could have arranged for 2 maidservants to perform this step. But, for some unknown reason, when the thought surfaced in her mind, she subconsciously refused. So she still personally wiped Lin Yun's body. After drying him, she then put clean clothes on him. This process was incredibly gentle and meticulous, just like a gentle and virtuous young wife taking care of her husband. It even moved old Devil Lin. Moreover, this process was truly wonderful. Although Lin Yun's consciousness had not yet awakened, he could fully perceive all sensations of his physical body. It was like watching others through a curtain. Finally, it was time for Lin Yun's most anticipated moment again. Saving lives and healing the injured. A healer sees no distinction between male and female. Yao Shishir murmured, biting her red lips. She was just wiping off the water for him. Lin Yun's expression changed. Then, it became more and more exciting. Incredibly exciting. Yao Shishir was very meticulous and gentle. Her fingers were very soft. She wiped every part of Lin Yun. Then, a strange scene occurred. Lin Yun got aroused. Yao Shishir shrieked, "Ah!" startling the other maidservants in the rear compartment, who immediately rushed over. "What's wrong, Seventh Miss? Don't come over, it's nothing." Yao Shishir quickly shouted. Her breathing was rapid. She suddenly started to sweat a little. She hadn't expected such a thing to happen. But didn't this also mean he already had a reaction to awakening? Yao Shishir felt both shy and joyful. Her emotions were somewhat complex. Lin Yan also couldn't help but blush. If he could blush, that is, damn it, he had lived so many years. This was the first time he had been so embarrassed, and in front of a little girl. But I can't be blamed for this. I haven't even woken up yet. This cursed instinct. Lin Yan was on the verge of tears. However, he was also immediately delighted. This showed that after his physical body experienced such stimulation, there really would be a reaction. If it happened a few more times, wouldn't he be able to wake up? But obviously, this level was not enough. Yao Shishir waited for a while, seeing that it had subsided. Only then did she continue to put clothes on Lin Yan. She patted her chest. She had been scared to death just now, all right. Truly terrifying. Yao Shishir bit her lip. She glared at Lin Yan with a hint of anger. You bad guy. You're not even well-behaved when you're asleep. She didn't notice that her tone was somewhat coquettish, like she was pouting, and there was no real anger in her words. Lin Yan felt somewhat mortified. However, life finally had hope. As long as the time was a little longer and the intensity a little greater, he should be able to wake up, right? Thinking of this, Lin Yan felt a little ashamed. He hadn't expected to still rely on this little girl. Truly, the heavenly Tao has its reincarnation, but no matter what, this little girl had truly shown him great kindness. Immediately after, another 2 days passed. Lin Yan occasionally showed some subtle facial expressions and movements. This made all 3 women happy. 7th miss, he seems to be about to wake up, but it seems like he's always just a little bit short each time. Xiao Lu and Xiao Qing said, go and run the hot water first. Maybe this really works, Yao Shishir instructed. Okay. The 2 personal maidservants were now extremely familiar with Lin Yan. In fact, if Lin Yan really woke up, they might be the ones who would take care of Lin Yan the most on a daily basis. Therefore, Lin Yan kept all of this in mind. The destinies of the 3 women had quietly changed at this moment. This time, it was still the same as before. They coordinated to bathe Lin Yan. Afterward, it was still Yao Shishir alone who dried Lin Yan. Lin Yan also began to look forward to it. Whenever this happened, it became Lin Yan's only expectation recently. He just hoped he would suddenly wake up. Then, in an instant, he would first take a top-grade medicinal pill among the 9-grade ones. That should be enough to maintain his state. If he paid attention to some things afterward, there shouldn't be much of a problem. Then he would wait for the chaos divine body to fully awaken. When his strength slowly recovered, he could regain his invincible cultivation. Now, his cultivation had reached the late stage of the ascension realm. It was no exaggeration to say he was invincible in the world. Therefore, Lin Yan was also prepared for a long-term battle. He might be with this little medical immortal for a very long time. Lin Yan was somewhat looking forward to this. If things continued like this, he felt that he could probably awaken in 10 days at most. In Lin Yan's perception, it was finally the last step again. Yao Shishir bit her red lips. She suddenly remembered that Xiao Qing had just said it always felt like something was missing. A little bit short, Yao Shishir murmured to herself. Her face grew redder and redder. Then, Lin Yan gasped. Time quietly slipped away. Yao Shishir was drenched in sweat, and she wiped her brow. Bad guy. Yao Shishir playfully scolded him with a hint of coquettishness. She hadn't expected this to be such hard work. But why hasn't he woken up yet? Yao Shishir was a little disappointed. But she didn't know. Lin Yan had actually already woken up. But he didn't dare to wake up. Truly, it was too embarrassing. At that very moment, Lin Yan had already woken up. No choice. It was too intense. He woke up directly under the extreme stimulation of his physical body. The moment he awakened, he used his divine thought to retrieve a medicinal pill. Yao Shishir was somewhat afraid to look, so she closed her eyes and therefore didn't notice Lin Yan opening his mouth to take a pill. Lin Yan's physical body began to slowly recover. Under the effect of the medicinal pill, a dense spiritual qi fluctuation slowly permeated the air. Lin Yan now had 2 choices. Continue to pretend not to have awakened. Then continue to be served, continue to act like an animal. Or find a suitable opportunity now and open his eyes. Lin Yan thought about it. He shouldn't be such an animal. Moreover, he really wanted to open his eyes, to see with his own eyes what the little medical immortal truly looked like. Whether she was as beautiful as a heavenly immortal no longer mattered. Even if she was ugly, Lin Yan would accept it. He would find the best pill cultivator in the world to refine the most powerful, beauty-enhancing, medicinal pill for her to take. If she wasn't willing, that was fine too. After immortal ascension, reshape the physical body. Naturally, she would become beautiful. Anyway, Lin Yan was determined to rely on her. He would shamelessly rely on this overly kind little girl. Lin Yan himself couldn't understand. What virtue and ability did he possess? Is the chaos divine body really that powerful? It must be a succubus divine body. However, immediately after, Lin Yun discovered a new problem. Although he had woken up, but it seemed he still couldn't move. Only his fingers could move slightly. He checked the progress and found that the chaos divine body had only awakened 10%. He needed at least 60% to move freely. Only after mortal ascension could it be 100% awakened. What to do? So, for a long time in the future, he would have to use a wheelchair? Lin Yun suddenly felt somewhat speechless. He hadn't expected that he, the dignified old devil Lin, would have such a day. Was he going to be taken care of indefinitely? How would he ever repay this debt of kindness to a beauty? Chapter 56. Emotional after opening eyes. The beautiful little medical fairy. Yao Shishir went to the inner compartment of the carriage. She washed her hands. Then she washed her face. She was dripping with fragrant sweat, her face flushed. "Seventh Miss, what's wrong with you?" Her personal maid asked curiously. Why did she feel a strange scent? "I just helped him regulate his body. I thought he would wake up," Yao Shishir said, a little helpless. She secretly resented Lin Yun for being so uncooperative. She had gone to such lengths. Truly, it's infuriating. Yao Shishir's pouting expression was somewhat adorable. She didn't know why she had acted that way, why she was so good to him. She just felt that the longer they spent together, unconsciously, her heart seemed to have gained another person. It was a very sudden and unfamiliar feeling. However, this feeling didn't seem bad either. One night, she looked at Lin Yun's face and thought a great deal. She knew that perhaps she had fallen for this motionless stranger. She didn't know his name, nor did she know where he came from. Even more, she didn't know his identity or if he was a good person. She only knew that she hoped he would get better soon. Then, whether he stayed or left, it was up to him. As a pill cultivator, Yao Shishir could be said to have no grand ambitions. Her only wish now was to quickly advance to a 7th-rank alchemist. Then she wouldn't have to deal with those annoying people. By then, her status would be enough for her to do what she wanted. And those shameless people wouldn't come to propose marriage. She didn't like those so-called young talents in others' eyes. "Seventh Miss, after we return, will we still follow you?" Xiao Qing and Xiao Lu hesitated for a moment, then suddenly asked. "Of course, don't worry. The family won't make things difficult for you, otherwise I won't agree. We grew up together like sisters for so many years. Although your slave status in the family hasn't been removed yet, I will find a way. No one can take you away from me. My cousin merely wants to use this matter to threaten me. I won't let him succeed." Yao Shishir's expression changed, her tone suddenly a bit serious. "Don't overthink things, you have me." "Okay, thank you, 7th Mississippi," Xiao Lu and Xiao Qing said, a little moved. "We heard that the eldest young master is not a good person." He's a beast." Yao Shishir agreed wholeheartedly. She had also heard that some maids had been tormented by him to the point of wishing for death. Some even conceived his child, only for him to administer medicine and abort it directly. Yao Guichun, the eldest young master of the Yao family, was notorious in this region, making countless respectable young women tremble at the mention of him. Lin Yun, who had already awakened, silently listened to the conversation from behind. He also had some thoughts in his mind. It seemed that as soon as he woke up, he already had his first task. There was actually such a beast, plotting against his own sister's maids. Perhaps his true target was his little medical immortal. This was simply a crime deserving of 10,000 deaths. He deserved to have his bones dug out and his divine soul extracted. In old Devil Lin's eyes, that eldest young master, whom he had never met, was directly sentenced to death. And it would be a very miserable death. Although he couldn't move now, his soul power was still present, so he had the ability to protect himself. In addition, he still had some magic treasures. Although a large number of his top-tier treasures were destroyed while resisting the spatial storm. But with what he had left, by any means necessary and at any cost, he was confident he could protect himself against even heavenly immortals or those undergoing tribulation. Breaking through the void would be a bit difficult. As for ascension, that wasn't like a common cabbage found everywhere. So Lin Yun should now be the strongest vegetative person in the entire world. What if he couldn't move? He could still speak, and he could make his words law. A single call, a sword come, would directly unleash a rain of countless swords, turning you into a hedgehog. However, this power also had limitations, as Lin Yun was still very weak. He was at a critical moment of transforming into a chaos divine body, so of course he couldn't casually use powerful forces. If the transformation was interrupted, Lin Yun would cry. As he was thinking, he suddenly heard footsteps approaching. Lin Yun quickly closed his eyes. Yao Shishir came to the bedside. She gazed at Lin Yun's face, lost in thought. Suddenly, she reached out her hand and caressed Lin Yun's cheek. Her hand was cool but very soft. Lin Yun felt that a person with such jade-like hands must be a little beauty. When will you wake up? Otherwise, I can't keep you in this state by my side forever. What should I do? Yao Shishir said, a little distressed. The family also seems to have some opinions about me, but I don't want to listen to them and enter into a marriage alliance. I don't like that young Master Zhou. I heard he's not a good person either. Otherwise, why would he be associating with my eldest brother? But grandfather is also old, and the Zhou family is powerful. Yao Shishir began her daily murmuring again, seemingly treating Lin Yun as her confidant. Listening to her, a surge of anger and then a wave of pity rose in Lin Yun's heart. However, I brought a lot of precious medicinal herbs this time. Yao Shishir's tone changed, becoming a little playful. Once I advance to a 7th rank alchemist, I can share grandfather's worries. Lin Yun felt that this little girl seemed to be under a lot of pressure now. He shouldn't be so selfish anymore. So, Lin Yun's lips suddenly moved. Under Yao Shishir's shocked gaze, as she covered her mouth speechless, Lin Yun uttered a somewhat dry and hoarse voice. Where's this? Did you save me? Having not spoken for a long time, Lin Yun's voice was a bit hoarse, but his articulation was still clear. Yao Shishir looked at Lin Yun, who had opened his eyes. Her eyes suddenly turned a little red. His pupils were so deep, as if hiding countless stories. After opening his eyes, he looked even more handsome. You finally woke up. Are you thirsty? Do you want water? I'll go get you some water. Yao Shishir's cheeks suddenly flushed. She became a little flustered, and quickly made an excuse to go pour water. Lin Yun's eyes moved slightly, but unfortunately, he couldn't see her figure anymore. He couldn't even move his neck now. With just a glance, she was surprisingly breathtaking. Lin Yun's heart also settled. Indeed, she was a little medical immortal, as beautiful as a heavenly immortal, the charming and lovely Yao Shishir. Neither as noble and aloof as the Empress, beautiful to the extreme, nor as enchanting as Master Yun Xueji, nor as outwardly cold but inwardly warm, uniquely stunning as senior sister Ling Xuanxue, and different from the mischievousness of his junior sister. She possessed a unique beauty. She was kind and pure, as if she could heal all the pain in this world. At this moment, Lin Yun was absolutely certain that his heart had gained another person, a beautiful, kind, and meticulously caring little medical immortal. Old Devil Lin swore that he would protect her for his entire life. She was the tenderness and light deep within his heart. Lin Yun never considered himself a noble or exclusively devoted person. Sometimes, emotions were simply uncontrollable. As the saying goes, even a hero finds it hard to resist a beauty. Right? He still didn't know her name. 7th Miss? Chapter 57, What's Your Name? The carriage was very large. Next door, Yao Shishir clutched her chest. She was a little breathless from excessive nervousness. She hadn't expected it. Lin Yun had suddenly woken up at this moment. When her eyes met Lin Yun's, Yao Shishir panicked. His eyes were so deep, like a deep pool. Oh right, she still needed to get water. After a while, the two maidservants, Xiao Qing and Xiao Lu, also came to Lin Yun's side. The two exchanged glances, both a little surprised. The young master was really awake. Having taken care of him for so long, they were quite familiar with him. Seeing him truly awake, they were naturally very happy. You mean you still can't move? Yao Shishir asked tentatively. Lin Yun's eyes darted around. Yes, it might take some more time. Lin Yun was also a bit speechless. He hadn't expected to have such a day. Was this the retribution for too much slaughter recently? However, this experience was also somewhat novel to him. Well, let's just consider it a different kind of journey. He could also calm down and properly comprehend the divine ability of space rules. You too. Help him up. Yao Shishir instructed. MHM. The two nodded and quickly came over, supporting Lin Yun from either side to sit up. They found that the young master seemed to lack the strength to maintain a sitting posture. Then they simply let Lin Yun lean directly against them. Lin Yun couldn't help but feel his face flush. Damn, he was too embarrassing right now. If his former enemies saw him, they'd surely die laughing. But for the chaos divine body, everything was worth it. Moreover, in such a desperate situation, being able to survive and come to the world of life was already a blessing in disguise. Lin Yun didn't complain about anything, and to have 3 such young girls taking care of him, he could be said to be very lucky. It was better than being alone and paralyzed on the ground. I'll feed you water. Do you want to drink porridge? Thank you. Lin Yun was indeed a little hungry. After reaching the cultivation level of fasting, he hadn't felt this kind of hunger for a long time. It was probably due to his body's depletion. Furthermore, Lin Yun had no intention of giving up the pleasure of food. Following this, Lin Yun leaned against the 2 maidservants. Yao Shishir sat in front of him. She fed Lin Yun water, spoon by spoon. Then she fed him medicinal porridge. Lin Yun suddenly realized that this feeling wasn't bad either. He was like a large baby, being meticulously cared for by three beautiful older sisters. It was a strange feeling. The other maidservants also couldn't help but feel a little shy, having such a strange man leaning against their chests, pressing tightly. His strong masculine scent made their hearts race. They hadn't thought much of it before. Now that he was awake, they realized that this young master's temperament was very unique. The noble aura he occasionally revealed seemed even more majestic than the old clan head and the grand elder. Clearly, his identity was extraordinary. Yao Shirshir blew on the steaming, medicinal porridge in the spoon. Then she brought it to Lin Yun's mouth. Lin Yun felt that this was the most wonderful food he had ever eaten in his life. Sure enough, people are just damn cheap. In the past, Lin Yun wouldn't have even glanced at this stuff. Now, however, he found it incredibly wonderful. But he couldn't tell. Was it the person who was beautiful, or the taste that was beautiful? Or both? Young master, is the medicinal porridge all right? I specially added snowflake fish. It should be very delicious, right? Yao Shirshir asked softly. It's very good. It's the best porridge I've ever had. Lin Yun's heart stirred, and he looked at the little medical immortal who was so close. He asked the question that had been on his mind for a long time. Young miss, what is your name? Lin Yun's gaze was gentle, making Yao Shirshir's ears feel a little warm. My name is Yao Shirshir, and I am an alchemist. We found you by chance on the roadside, so we brought you along. Yao Shirshir said airily. Xiao Lu couldn't help but interject at this moment. Young master, you really should thank our 7th Mississippi. If you had met someone else, they might not have bothered with you. Our 7th Miss is the kindest, and she's been so good to you these past few days, doing everything herself. We've never seen 7th Miss care so much about an outsider. Xiao Qing also chimed in from the side. Yao Shirshir's face flushed, as if her secret thoughts had been exposed. Oh, don't talk nonsense. I'm also a medical practitioner. Of course I have to save the dying and help the injured. Yao Shirshir looked at Lin Yun a little embarrassed. Don't listen to them talk nonsense. I saved you simply because I am an alchemist, and it was a coincidence. Yao Shirshir's explanation was a bit forced. But Lin Yun didn't care at all. Perhaps the little girl was a bit shy. Or maybe she was afraid he would misunderstand something. A small pill cultivator. Lin Yun had some calculations in mind. With his financial resources, training her to become a 9th-grade alchemist shouldn't be difficult, right? The path of a pill cultivator was not easy, especially since it required immense resources. Moreover, the vast majority would be wasted becoming dregs. But their status was also very unique. After all, everyone needed to take pills. So they were highly respected. Generally, evil cultivators wouldn't cause trouble to harm pill cultivators, at most threatening them or robbing them. If he also studied it, with his aptitude, it should be very fast, right? Then he could give back, teaching her to become a peak 9th-tier alchemist. From her student to her teacher. His process seemed quite interesting too. Lin Yun immediately found his next goal. It could be considered finding joy in hardship. Moreover, it could kill 2 birds with 1 stone. So you're an alchemist. No wonder then, you must be very powerful, right? Yao Shirshir didn't have time to speak. Xiao Qing said from the side. Of course, our young miss is the youngest 6th-tier alchemist. She's not far from the 7th tier either. Xiao Lu added. 6th tier, Lin Yun now had an idea. It seemed she was facing the watershed of breakthrough to the 7th tier. Wouldn't his chance to repay her kindness come then? He'd bring it up another time. Actually, I'm not that powerful. Yao Shirshir's face was a little red, but her joyful expression and bright eyes betrayed her. Clearly, she also felt she was quite powerful. Lin Yun looked at her innocent appearance, wanting to smile, but unfortunately, he was still paralyzed. He probably would be able to move his neck and above by tomorrow or the day after. The most difficult part was probably his lower body. Except for his little brother, he basically had no sensation. This peculiar situation made Lin Yun feel helpless. He even suspected it was the damn system's doing. However, it could also be due to his meridians. After feeding Lin Yun the porridge, they helped him lie down again. Yao Shirshir thoughtfully stayed by his side and chatted with Lin Yun. The 2 maidservants went to attend to other things. But Yao Shirshir now discovered a very serious problem. This young master was already awake. So what about bathing him in the future? Just thinking about that situation, she couldn't help but feel a blush on her face. And it probably shouldn't be like that anymore, right? Yao Shirshir glanced at a certain part. Chapter 58, Extra Time. If your hands are weak, use your feet. Yao Shirshir, with her flushed cheeks, was incredibly adorable. She exuded a pure, alluring charm. Unfortunately, Lin Yun couldn't witness this scene of her overwhelming shyness. But thankfully, he had already bathed today, so he could worry about this tomorrow. Besides, he probably wouldn't want a male to serve him, right? Yao Shirshir was quite certain of this. If it really came down to it, it would just be like usual. At worst, she would suffer a small loss. Since things had already come to this, she didn't mind those things anymore. Let me massage you. It might help with your recovery. Yao Shishir offered again, proactively. Before Lin Yun could even respond, Yao Shishir extended her two fair, tender hands and began kneading Lin Yun's arm. It did feel somewhat good, quite comfortable. Lin Yun didn't refuse. He was just unable to exert strength or move, not unconscious. You're so good to me. How will I ever repay you in the future? Yao Shishir, who was diligently massaging, looked up. No need to repay me. Meeting is fate. Let's talk about it once you're better. She had never considered that question anyway. Is this pressure all right? Yao Shishir asked while massaging. It's good, but it's a bit uncomfortable with clothes on. Lin Yun said with a hint of shamelessness. A full-body massage. Lin Yun felt a touch of nostalgia. Why not take this opportunity to savor it again? Yao Shishir's face flushed. She secretly glanced at Lin Yun, finding him with his eyes slightly closed. But his expression seemed somewhat relaxed. She bit her silver teeth, making up her mind. She had already touched that part anyway. It was just a rehabilitation massage. She shouldn't overthink it. Oh, how about this then? Immediately after, Lin Yun felt a pair of soft, cool hands. This, a little more force. Move up a bit. Old Devil Lin was naturally thick-skinned. He didn't feel embarrassed in the slightest. He simply treated little medical immortal as a masseuse. Yao Shishir bit her lip. Is it here? How about now? Just like that. Lin Yun felt that this stimulation indeed had some effect. The circulation of his qi seemed to speed up. There was actually some scientific basis to it, after all. Then, Lin Yun enjoyed it with even greater peace of mind. Who knew how long passed? Yao Shishir started to feel a bit tired. Sweat trickled down her face. Her cheeks were flushed. She secretly peeked at Lin Yun, realizing that he seemed to have comfortably fallen asleep. Immediately, she gave him another pinch, annoyed. Are you asleep? She asked softly. Lin Yun softly hummed. No. What's wrong? My fingers are getting tired. Yao Shishir said somewhat aggrievedly. She was also a bit confused as to why she was so obedient, but she seemed unable to refuse any of his requests. Having been in such close contact with Lin Yun for so long, she had already been subtly influenced by the affinity of Lin Yun's chaos divine body. Lin Yun was enjoying himself, and he felt his recovery speed had increased. It wouldn't do for her to run out of strength now. Lin Yun thought for a moment. If your hands are tired, don't you still have your feet? Lin Yun knew, without even looking, that her expression must be one of shame and anger right now. Yao Shishir bit her red lips. This person was really pushing his luck, wasn't he? Doesn't he fear that I'll throw him out? If it weren't for the fact that you're a patient, I wouldn't talk to you. Yao Shishir glanced at her long, slender legs beneath her skirt. She had never imagined using her feet to do such a thing. That she would do such a thing. What? You don't know how. I'll teach you. Just take off your shoes and step on me with your feet. I feel like your massage is very effective. My neck seems to be able to move a bit now. As he spoke, Lin Yun slightly twisted his head. Yao Shishir was instantly a little surprised. It really seems to be able to move. Then, I'll try again. She still didn't use her feet, instead persisting with her small hands to massage Lin Yun for a while longer. First his arms, then his lower back and shoulders. An hour later, Yao Shishir was again drenched in fragrant sweat. She wiped a bead of sweat, her long, beautiful hair clinging to her cheeks. Her face was hot and flushed. How is it? Is that enough? Yao Shishir asked expectantly. But it feels like it's still missing a little something. Lin Yun felt that his neck seemed to have some strength, but he was always a little reluctant to let go of that feeling. Are you out of strength again? Lin Yun asked proactively. Yes, I'm out of strength, Yao Shishir said, a little aggrieved. It was her first time being treated like a maid. Then, how about trying with your feet? Lin Yun, at this moment, was like a devil enticing an innocent girl. It's just a little bit more, come on. When I can move later, I'll give you a small gift, okay? Old Devil Lin seemed to be luring a little white rabbit with a lollipop. Yao Shishir bit her red lips, truly unable to imagine such a scene. How about I have him come help you? Lin Yun was naturally unwilling. They're not as good as you. This time, I'm just a little bit away. Let them come next time. Lin Yun was getting a bit ungrateful. Not long ago, he was still thinking he would never bully his little medical immortal. Now he was already bullying her. Yao Shishir was almost in tears. She looked down at Lin Yun, then at her own legs. Then I'll try. Lin Yun was overjoyed. You're the best. Don't worry. Once I'm better, I'll protect you. I'm actually very powerful. Lin Yun started making grand promises. Oh, how powerful. More powerful than my scoundrel elder brother? Hee. I'm the most powerful in the world. Lin Yun said, without hesitation. I don't believe you. I feel like you're bullying me. You can't even beat a wild boar now. You can only bully me. Yao Shishir didn't even realize it herself. She seemed to be acting spoiled. How could I bully you? You're helping me. I really am very powerful. Lin Yun said very seriously. Oh, then you can show me how powerful you are later. As Yao Shishir spoke, she had already taken off her shoes and socks, revealing her fair, tender feet, which were quite adorable. How do I do it? I don't know. Yao Shishir's face was full of shame and anger. But since things had come to this, she could only try. She had already done that. What was a small massage? You turn me over, lift my clothes, then hold on so you don't fall, and just step on me with your bare feet. Oh, right? Don't use any medicated oil. I'm afraid you'll slip. Lin Yun was filled with anticipation. All right, I'll try. Yao Shishir gently turned Lin Yun over. Then she lifted the clothes from his back. Looking at his back, which she had wiped many times with its firm muscle lines, Yao Shishir always felt a bit embarrassed. Her face was so red it looked like it would bleed. But in the end, Yao Shishir bit her lip, gathering her courage, and massaged Lin Yun with her cute little feet. This sensation, it was unbeatable. Lin Yun only felt a sharp intake of breath. It seemed as if his run and due meridians had been instantly unblocked. Chapter 59. It turns out that Master Yun is really powerful. Lin Yun's life now, besides not being able to move freely, was simply like a carefree immortal. He had someone to feed him and give him water, and he could even lean on the little beauty. Although he wasn't embracing two women at once, he still had a little medical immortal feeding him. Ever since that one time she massaged Lin Yun, Yao Shishir now had an extra task every day. Sometimes, she would even call her two personal maids to provide massage services for Lin Yun together. Although it was a bit embarrassing, it was still fine. What was most bewildering, however, was when it came to bathing Lin Yun. Unlike before, this young master was now conscious. How could one not feel embarrassed? But after the first time, the second time became a matter of course. Now, several more days had passed. Lin Yun, besides not being able to move and his legs still being weak, could now move his neck and head. Even his right hand could move, but Lin Yun didn't show it. Otherwise, he wouldn't have the little beauty feeding him anymore. He still wanted to enjoy this kind of life for a bit longer. Speaking of which, when he was the sect master supreme, there were many maidservants in his palace, and he could easily gather many saintesses. How did he not think of enjoying himself like this back then? Perhaps he wasn't so useless back then. He simply couldn't achieve such extravagance. This day, it was time for his bath and change of clothes again. Lin Yun now found those two personal maids more and more pleasing to the eye. He had heard them say earlier that some young master had taken a fancy to them and wanted to defile them. Old Devil Lin would be the first to disagree now. These were his people now. He wanted to see who dared, who was tired of living, daring to bully his people. Inside the bathtub, Lin Yun comfortably closed his eyes. Occasionally, he would open his eyes for a glance. In the water, even with clothes on, it had a unique charm. But unfortunately, Yao Shishir was still outside. However, for things like washing his hair and face, Yao Shishir would personally do it. Her movements were gentle and delicate, making Lin Yun feel the ultimate service. Each time, he almost fell asleep in the bathtub. Next, it was time to dry and even change clothes. At this step, the atmosphere was always the most enchanting. Fortunately, Lin Yun now had some self-control. He wouldn't scare the little girl. This kind of intimate relationship was actually like a wife serving her husband. It was hard to describe the two of them as complete strangers anymore. Young Master Yun, would you like us to take you out for a walk? Lin Yun narrowed his eyes slightly. During this time, he had actually been in the carriage. He also knew that there was a large convoy outside, but he wasn't really interested. For him, this was just a very simple journey. It was enough to have met this little medical immortal. And those two little maids were also good. They were all good younger sisters. Then let's go out for a walk. But how can I go out like this? Lin Yun was a bit curious. Yao Shishir's heart was filled with joy. She had long wanted to take young Master Yun out to bask in the sun. However, she was afraid he wouldn't be willing. After all, in his current state, it might hurt his self-esteem. She underestimated old Devil Lin. Lin Yun's chaos divine body awakening progress had already reached 20%. He could already exert some of his strength. We've prepared this for you, a wheelchair that can be operated with divine thought. Yao Shishir pushed out a wheelchair that looked somewhat dignified and ancient. She carefully observed Lin Yun's expression, fearing that he wouldn't accept it. Lin Yun, however, smiled. I never thought Lin Yun, would have a day where I'd sit in a wheelchair. That's quite rare. How do I use it? Let me try. Seeing no displeasure on Lin Yun's face, Yao Shishir also breathed a sigh of relief. Come, I'll carry you. Since Lin Yun couldn't move, Yao Shishir bent down, preparing to carry Lin Yun onto the wheelchair. Lin Yun glanced at her, and a line of ancient poetry involuntarily surfaced in his mind. It was a different kind of beautiful scenery. With their various intimate contacts now, this was no longer a big deal. In fact, Yao Shishir had also noticed it. But besides her face turning red, she didn't show any rejection. seemingly having gotten used to it. After all, hugging and cuddling were quite normal now. Moreover, she was now very certain. She had unknowingly fallen in love with this mysterious young Master Yin. It was like a young girl's first stirrings of love, uncontrollable. Then, there was the reward he promised her last time. She initially thought it was a joke, but to her surprise, after he finished massaging her with his little feet, Lin Yun really gave her a small gift. It was actually a 10,000-year fire Ganoderma. This was the main ingredient for a 9th-grade medicinal pill, and he just casually tossed it to her. This also indirectly showed that young Master Yun was indeed very mysterious. Of course, she hadn't expected any reward in the first place, so she was unwilling to accept it. It wasn't until Lin Yun took out several, even more precious medicinal ingredients that Yao Shishir covered her mouth in shock, somewhat disbelieving. Only then did she realize that young Master Yun was indeed a very, very powerful person. She had, by chance, seemingly saved an important figure. At that time, she even felt some fear and distance towards Lin Yun. It wasn't until later, when the two of them had to constantly interact, that the invisible barrier was broken, and their relationship returned to its previous state. Moreover, because they shared a secret and knew each other's background, they became even more intimate. Unconsciously, Lin Yun had completely acknowledged this little girl in his heart. He even hoped that this journey could last a little longer. "Oh right, this hand of mine can move now too," Lin Yun suddenly said, then put his arm around Yao Shishir's waist. It was very slender. Yao Shishir bit her lip. I knew that already. Then why are you still feeding me?" A smile appeared at the corner of Lin Yun's mouth. I wonder what's wrong with that." "Then you can feed yourself today," Yao Shishir said with a hint of petulance. "No, I still prefer you to feed me. It tastes better." Lin Yun had a very strange feeling in his heart. He always felt a bit happy, as if he was in love with a young girl. He never expected that a blessing in disguise would lead to such a wonderful experience. A blush appeared on Yao Shishir's face. "Take your hand off. You're still not behaving even like this." Lin Yun chuckled. "Are you 7th in your family?" "My 7th Mississippi." Yes I am." "Are you taking me to your home?" Lin Yun asked again. "Then do you want to go?" "Do you dare?" Yao Shishir said, biting her lip. There seemed to be some expectation and nervousness in her watery eyes. Lin Yun reached out to embrace her, but his arm met empty air. The little medical immortal had jumped away. There was a hint of teasing in her beautiful eyes. "I'm guarding against you now." Lin Yun rubbed his nose. "You still haven't answered me." Yao Shishir walked back over. She bent slightly, leaning against Lin Yun. Smelling the faint medicinal fragrance on her, Lin Yun extended his right hand and embraced her slender waist. Their ears brushed, and their foreheads touched. Looking in her eyes, Lin Yun knew she needed an answer. Although their relationship was subtly unspoken, they both understood. They had long since crossed the threshold between friendship or doctor-patient relations. Moreover, how Lin Yun woke up was something they both knew well. Lin Yun actually felt a bit of guilt. Yao Shishir had a very typical childlike face, and her figure was somewhat petite. Her excessive kindness was somewhat different from his Dao. Perhaps it was precisely this kindness that attracted his deeply demonic self. Therefore, he liked it very much. Chapter 60, Is such a useless person worthy of Miss 7? He was silent for a while. He gently ruffled her hair. Lin Yun smiled. He felt that he should confess some things. To this kind little medical immortal, he shouldn't deceive her. She was his little angel of salvation. "Didn't I tell you, I'm very powerful? What am I afraid of? But what about you? Have you thought about the consequences? I'm currently crippled." Lin Yun's words were cut off by Yao Shishir's small hand. "I forbid you from saying such things. You are the most powerful, the best, and you will get better. I will find the best medicinal pills for you. I will massage you every day. It will get better, won't it?" Yao Shishir looked at Lin Yun with a mix of nervousness and anticipation. A layer of mist appeared in her eyes. Clearly, she was not confident either. She didn't know what Lin Yun's physique was like now. Lin Yun gently pulled her into his embrace. He only had one hand, and although it was inconvenient, it was enough. Because Yao Shishir was very well behaved. She nestled in young Master Yun's arms, her face flushed. "Yes, it will. I just had a small accident during my cultivation." Lin Yun whispered in her ear. His breath made Yao Shishir's face turn crimson. That's good. If there's anything I can help you with, just tell me." Yao Shishir thought of something, and her ears turned red. Lin Yun's lips curved slightly. He looked at the delicate and beautiful little medical immortal. "Just like this is good. Good things should be savored slowly." Lin Yun was not the type of person to rush things. "Then, shall we go out for a walk now?" After a while, the two separated. Both were a little reluctant to part. Releasing this petite and soft little angel, Lin Yun nodded gently. Let's go out and get some sun." "Okay, I'll go arrange it now." Yao Shishir quickly went to instruct Xiao Lu and Xiao Qing, who were hiding behind and dared not disturb them. She also grabbed a small blanket to cover Lin Yun's legs. Lin Yun was a little helpless, but he didn't want to refuse her kindness. Why did he feel like he was truly like a young master with a weak constitution? He wasn't afraid of the cold. But in this situation, it actually seemed quite interesting. Forget it, it could be considered a unique experience. Just before his ascension, he would experience a tempering of his heart in the mortal world. Ever since he became the high and mighty sect Master Supreme, it had been a long time since he had looked down at the world below. Subsequently, under Yao Shishir's command, the caravan stopped. Under everyone's gaze, Yao Shishir pushed Lin Yun out of the luxurious carriage palace. Bathed in the light, Lin Yun squinted slightly. It had been a long time since he had seen the sun outside. Perhaps due to his internal weakness, Lin Yun's face was a little pale. Compared to his former heroic and extraordinary appearance, he now had a hint of gentleness. His ink-black long hair was meticulously tied behind him by Yao Shishir. He wore a white brocade robe specially sewn by Xiao Lu and Xiao Qing these past 2 days. Although Lin Yun's storage ring still contained many changes of clothes, they were all top-grade Dharma robes. Those were the Dharma robes of the Yin-Yang Sacred Sect's sect master, and wearing them out would likely scare people. Therefore, Lin Yun appreciated the two maidservants' kindness. Lin Yun took a deep breath. The outside air was indeed a bit different. Inside the carriage palace, there was only a faint medicinal pill fragrance and the subtle scent of the girls. Many guards looked at the reborn Lin Yun with a bit of daze. When he was picked up from the roadside, he was like a beggar. Now he had become a noble young master. Although he was sitting in a wheelchair, that aura was still impossible to ignore. One glance, and it was clear he was no ordinary person. This was also because Lin Yun's physique had now transformed into the chaos divine body. His aura was completely contained. As the saying goes, the great Tao is simple. Otherwise, with Lin Yun's previous aura, these people would have been scared senseless at first glance. What are you all looking at? Go and guard the surroundings. The captain was also stunned, but he was the first to recover. He quickly shouted, telling the many guards to go on duty. Young master, I am Wang Li, the captain of the guards. Congratulations, young master, and I wish you a speedy recovery. Wang Li's face was a bit dark, and he looked honest and simple. But truly honest people might have already died in some corner. Lin Yun nodded slightly. Thank you, I appreciate it. Seventh miss, do you have any instructions? Wang Li then looked at Yao Shishir. At the same time, he was also guessing the origin of this noble young master. In fact, it had been more than 10 days since Lin Yun was rescued. Everyone was also speculating about the current situation. Regarding such a strange male being constantly in the young Mrs. Carriage Palace, they also had some ambiguous suspicions. Now, looking at this young master's aura, their suspicions were further confirmed. However, with his frail appearance, could he protect Seventh Miss? Or rather, was he worthy? Seventh Miss was the Yao family's first genius in 10,000 years. Even if Seventh Miss was willing, would the elders and old clan head and the family be willing? But they also had to admit that this young master's appearance alone was indeed a very good match for Seventh Miss. In fact, at first glance, it seemed that Seventh Miss was even a bit unworthy. However, they all thought this was an illusion. It's fine. You all go about your business. We'll just walk around nearby. Oh, right. How far is Medicine King City now? Yao Shishir suddenly asked. Lin Yun couldn't help but prick up his ears. Wang Li pondered for a while before saying, at our current speed, it will take about 7 or 8 more days. Yao Shishir's beautiful eyebrows furrowed slightly upon hearing this. Okay, I understand. Immediately, Yao Shishir pushed Lin Yun to slowly walk to the other side. Xiao Lu and Xiao Qing follow behind. Watching this scene, the many guards were also full of surprise. It seemed that this was really happening. How strange. If they returned to the family, there would probably be a good show to watch. Of course, they had no ill intentions. They were just watching the excitement, which is human nature. After all, Lin Yun's current appearance indeed made people unable to help but overthink. 7 more days, huh? Tell me about your family situation, Lin Yun suddenly said. As a man, in this situation, he naturally had to take responsibility. Unless he was willing to leave little medical immortal now, Lin Yun definitely had to take it seriously. Otherwise, Yao Shishir might be wronged. Yao Shishir was startled, then a smile appeared on her face. My family, you see, my grandfather is the clan chief. My parents disappeared in the depths of the 10,000 Demon Mountain range when I was little. And I'm the 7th in line, so they call me 7th Mississippi. Oh, right, I'm also very powerful. I'm a genius, Yao Shishir said coquettishly. Chapter 61, Doubts Disaster is Coming? Yao Shishir pushed the wheelchair. The two arrived at a small hill. Looking at the sea of flowers below, her mood seemed to brighten. Her voice was a little ethereal, and she didn't seem to care much about family matters. so she was trying hard to recall, hoping to provide young Master Yun with more information. Lin Yun also listened very carefully, although for him, such a small family could be wiped out with a wave of his hand. However, Lin Yun did not want to adopt that method. Sometimes, people still need to use their brains. Moreover, wouldn't it be better to treat it as a game? Of course, the most important thing was that, before the chaos divine body completely transformed, Lin Yun was not prepared to make a big fuss. In a strange world, it was still necessary to be cautious. What if he capsized in a ditch? Such stories were countless. He didn't want to be showing off, only for an old fellow from the Ascension realm to suddenly jump out and finish him off. That would be a huge joke. So Lin Yun planned to take it slow, unraveling it piece by piece. More importantly, it was the little medical immortals family. To be able to nurture her to be so pure and kind, and even allow her alchemist talent to be released. At least on one point, Lin Yun was very sure. That was in this family, it wasn't just cold interests and schemes. Someone must have been doting on her and protecting her, preventing her from experiencing those bloody intrigues and conspiracies, and not having to worry much about cultivation resources. That's how she could be raised so well. So on this point, Lin Yun was very grateful to the Yao family. He guessed it must be the old clan head, her grandfather, who treated her very well. Only his status would give him the position and strength to do so. But her parents actually went missing together in this mountain range. Lin Yun keenly sensed the scent of a conspiracy. Perhaps it wasn't just a sudden accident, but this was only his guess. If he found any clues, he wouldn't be merciful. By then, there would likely be a river of blood. Lin Yun had always been clear about grudges and favors. Don't look a Huang Lian, you having flown far away now. But by then, it would be difficult for her to die. Lin Yun had already set up a contingency on her. She wanted to achieve immortal ascension so much. By then, in the upper realm, as soon as the two approached, he would discover her. With Lin Yun's current aptitude and talent, plus his divine ability of spatial rules, even if he reached the immortal realm, Lin Yun would still be the most outstanding prodigy. As for Huang Lianyu, it must be said she also had some small talent, and with her heart nature, she would definitely climb up. The uppermost circle was always very small, so the two would eventually meet. Is that so-called big brother of yours very annoying? Lin Yun suddenly asked. Oh yes, he's a big jerk, and he even wanted to take Xiaoqing and the others. Yao Shishir looked displeased. But I would never agree. At worst, I'll go tell Grandpa. Lin Yun thought for a moment, then suddenly asked a seemingly irrelevant question. Is your grandfather about to pass on the clan chief position to your eldest uncle? Yao Shishir was stunned. It seemed she had only just realized. I don't know, but it seems he had this intention a few years ago. Some elders even support Big Uncle. Big Uncle is already a 7th rank alchemist now. Yao Shishir became a little troubled. What should she do? She wasn't stupid. With Lin Yun's hint, she knew that there might be trouble in the family. How about we don't go back? Yao Shishir's eyes suddenly lit up. Her words made Lin Yun somewhat exasperated. What? You want to elope with me? Yao Shishir's face turned red. It's not impossible. Anyway, with my ability, I can support you. We alchemists are very wealthy. We're very good at making money. I can go sell medicinal pills. Listening to her somewhat childish words, Lin Yun felt a warmth in his heart. But she could be naive. As a man, Lin Yun naturally couldn't be so irresponsible. Don't worry, I'm here. I will clear all obstacles for you, and then make you a true queen. Lin Yun said in his heart. Young Master Yun. You're also very amazing. I believe you. Yao Shishir said, massaging Lin Yun's shoulders with her small hands. The two watched the clouds drift across the sky. Time slipped away unknowingly, but neither of them felt bored. They enjoyed this rare tranquility. Just then, amidst the endless sea of flowers and grassland below, a loud wolf howl suddenly echoed from afar. Upon hearing the howl, Yao Shishir's expression changed, and her face lost its color. Her face instantly turned pale. Oh no, it's the silverback demonic wolf pack. Xiaoqing, quickly, tell them to prepare a defensive formation. Lin Yun raised an eyebrow. At this time, a powerful pack of Yao beasts suddenly appeared. What was going on? Young Master Yun, we need to go back. This silver-backed demonic wolf pack is the strongest Yao beast pack on the outskirts of the 10,000 Demon Mountain Range. Each one is equivalent to a core condensation realm cultivator. The leader, the silver-winged wolf king, is even equivalent to the celestial phenomenon realm. Especially since they always appear in groups of at least thousands, they're the biggest disaster on the outskirts of the mountain range. We might be in danger. Yao Shishir didn't expect to encounter the greatest calamity. The guard she brought would definitely not be their match. What to do? And young Master Yin, what about him? The few people quickly returned to the caravan. Everyone looked grim and had already set up a defensive formation. 7th Miss, what should we do? These demonic wolf packs all move in groups. Wang Li also looked nervous. He now only hoped that this was a small wolf pack, and they might still have hope. If there was a being like the silver-winged wolf king, he feared that all of them would be buried in the wolves' stomachs. It's strange at this time they should all be on the other side of the great grassland breeding. Xiaoqing's murmur also stirred everyone's hearts. But there was no time to think so much. Let's see first. If it's really impossible, seventh miss, you break through, and we'll cover your retreat. Wang Li was also a decisive person. As the captain of the guard team, he was naturally a trusted subordinate of Yao Shishir. So he had no thought of escaping at all. As the saying goes, a scholar dies for his confidant. He had received no small amount of favors from the seventh miss on weekdays. He didn't know how many medicinal pills he had received. Lin Yun was protected in the very center. This made him feel a little helpless. He didn't expect that one day he would also become a burden. He touched his nose. He wasn't panicking in his heart. But this matter was indeed a bit strange. Could it be that someone wanted to make a move against his little medical immortal? Then that would truly be a heinous crime. A pack of tens of thousands of demonic wolves, to be able to launch such a beast tide, it did take some effort. And it could completely be blamed on bad luck, encountering the wolf pack by chance. Lin Yun narrowed his eyes slightly. His right hand gently tapped the armrest. He wanted to see what kind of demons and monsters they were. If the situation was critical, then he, this crippled man, would just have to take action personally. He hoped they wouldn't be too surprised. Chapter 62, Are You Willing to Die With Me? As a genius of the Yao family, Yao Shishir's entourage was naturally not small. The escort team for this convoy numbered over 300 people. It was quite massive. However, the highest realm cultivator, Captain Wang Li, was only at the divine ability realm. Under normal circumstances, this would have been sufficient. But facing a wolf pack far outnumbering them, it was clearly not enough. Especially these demonic wolves, most spells wouldn't work. Unless the attack was 2 realms higher, it basically couldn't penetrate their fur. And charging in for a direct fight? Could they match the wolves' lightning-fast claws? Although the Wolf King's realm was only at the celestial phenomenon realm, there was indeed a cultivator of the same realm in the team. That was Seventh Miss. But Seventh Miss was an alchemist. She was good at healing and saving lives. Asking her to charge in a battle? Don't even think about it. An alchemist's combat power is almost negligible. Even if she were to use poison, it was too late now. The alchemist's most potent attack should be a cauldron explosion from alchemy, which does have some power. But there was no time for that now. Hundreds of meters of guards formed layer after layer. They formed a circle, protecting Seventh Miss and Lin Yun in the very center. Since there was nothing to rely on behind them, and the wolf pack, you couldn't guess which direction they would attack from. So they were forced to adopt this formation, which most dispersed their combat power. Yao Shishir's face was resolute. She even took out an exquisite magic sword. Although the sword looked good and was of high quality, it wasn't meant for combat. Lin Yun gently held her hand. Yao Shishir lowered her head, thinking he was nervous, and she whispered, "Young Master Yun, don't be afraid. I will protect you." If Yao Shishir hesitated, thinking of the worst-case scenario. Her eyes couldn't help but redden slightly. "If we were to die together, would you be willing?" Hearing this, Lin Yun gave a wry smile. "Of course I wouldn't be willing." Yao Shishir bit her lip, looking at Lin Yun, this heartless man, with a pout. "Why should we die? We won't die. Rest assured. I'm still here," Lin Yun said, squeezing her palm to comfort her. But Yao Shishir didn't know his true capabilities, so how could she relax? "Don't worry, I'll die before you." Seeing this stubborn little girl, term of endearment, looking as if she would rather die to prove her resolve, Lin Yun couldn't help but feel a little moved. Then you'll have to work hard. But don't you find it strange? How can it be such a high-level Yao beast pack here? Yao Shishir was stunned for a moment. "I don't know, but they shouldn't be here. And this is a very safe trade route. There haven't been any incidents for many years." Yao Shishir seemed to have some suspicions in her heart nature, but she dared not believe them. Lin Yun understood her expression. It seemed it really was man-made. But what threat could such a carefree little girl pose? Because of her talent? It seemed that being overly excellent was also a sin. Lin Yun also knew that Yao Shishir's outing this time was actually in preparation for her breakthrough to a 7th-rank alchemist. It seemed that because of this, she had touched the nerves of certain people. So they wanted to nip her in the bud? If it were this little girl Yao Shishir, if she were a normal sword cultivator or body cultivator, it might not have been so easy to plot against her. The silver-backed demonic wolf pack's charge was extremely fast. Just moments ago, their sounds were 100 li away. Now, a rumbling sound could already be heard. The howling, however, had died down. But the more so, the more terrifying it was. This indicated that the Wolf King was hiding in the shadows, waiting for an opportunity to strike. Yao beasts that reached this level had long since evolved intelligence. They were even smarter and more cunning than many people. With a tremor that shook the earth, some large trees, wide enough for a person to hug, were instantly destroyed. Visibly, it was as if a tornado had swept through. A scene of devastation. And countless pairs of glowing green eyes stared at everyone with greed and ferocity. They clearly regarded this group of people as prey. In a flash, all obstacles around the caravan were cleared, turning the area into an open, flat ground. Lin Yin was somewhat impressed by this demolition capability. These beasts were quite intelligent, and they were truly robust. Each one was larger than a water buffalo. Their size was almost comparable to an elephant. No wonder this group of people was so nervous. In the Tianyuan realm, there had long been no Yao beast packs of this scale. Perhaps there were in ancient times, but they had long been slaughtered and harvested by human race cultivators. So this world was quite interesting. He wondered if there were any shape-shifting Yao beasts or little fox spirits. Lin Yin didn't mind experiencing some exotic charm. The nine-tailed celestial fox, rumored to have been extinct in the Tianyuan realm for tens of thousands of years, were all beauties who brought disaster upon the world. A preview. There will be a demoness. It was said they were incredibly charming. But unfortunately, old Devil Lin had never seen one. He had even specifically searched for them for a period of time. The hundreds of meters of guards also had trembling legs. Looking at this pack of demonic wolves, as huge as wild oxen, how the hell were they supposed to fight this? As far as the eye could see, there were already over 1,000. And outside, there seemed to be an endless stream of them charging in. Even if their group were all battle-hardened warriors, who could take on 5 opponents each, it still wouldn't be enough. Moreover, there was the Wolf King hidden among them. Furthermore, there was a reason these beasts were called demonic wolves. They could spit ice shards. Silverback demonic wolves was their common name, because they had silver fur on their backs. They were actually frost demonic wolves. Not only did they have ranged attacks, but their close combat was also on par with ranged cultivators of the same realm. No wonder they were called the greatest disaster. After listening to Shao Qing's explanation, Lin Yun understood. But then, he became suspicious. Could the Yao family internally command such high-spec power? Such power would be enough to annihilate a medium-sized immortal sect. Just imagine thousands, even tens of thousands of invincible beast tides of the same realm. And they were dual cultivators of both magic and martial arts. At least tens of thousands of cultivators would be needed to withstand the first wave of attack. Lin Yun's eyes couldn't help but flicker. He couldn't use his power right now. His meridians weren't even reconnected yet. How should he resolve this crisis? Meanwhile, in the distance 100 li away, several young men were strolling leisurely. Brother Zhou, you've gone too far with this. Is it really necessary to deal with those small fries? This wolf pack must be a hidden power of your Zhou family. Yao Guichan, the eldest young master of the Yao family, asked tentatively. Zhou Heng of the Zhou family glanced at Yao Guichan. Don't try to probe the power of my Zhou family. Our Zhou family is backed by a superior sect, not something your rustic Yao family can compare to. Zhou Heng had an arrogant expression. If it weren't for his sister being quite beautiful, especially her heart nature and physique, a 7-aperture exquisite heart, utmost good and beauty, and she was also a virgin and an alchemist of exceptional talent, very suitable as a Tao companion. Otherwise, he wouldn't have used this trump card without his family's knowledge. This was a power capable of annihilating a city.